at 812-288.
Mechanical, Kentuckiana's winning business choice for reliable HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration services. Give them a call any hour, any day at 502-339-1133. I had to bounce early yesterday for the first parents' day at school, or the meet the teacher day at school. And Roman promptly had a 3-for-3 day on Big X, Big Bets. Do we just need to give you the 5 o'clock hour?
I think so.
Should that just be yours moving
I like
forward?
us both getting out of here at 5:30.
It was him. It was not him.
Before.
I wouldn't hate it. Would not hate it. When they first asked me about, getting like, would you be fine with getting off the air at 5:30? I was like, I mean, yeah. And then they were like, so you would start at 2:30. I was like, oh, well, that's not nearly as cool, but I'll take it. Well, initially they were like, would you do 2 to 5:30? And I was like, I mean, would prefer to not work an extra 30 minutes for no extra pay. So we'll do 2:30 to 5:30. And I think it's worked out pretty well. But yesterday got out here a little bit early. How was the 5 to 5:30 Romans recap? Did it go okay?
Yeah, it was fun. Thought it went pretty well. Had one texter mad I was talking about WNBA bets, but that's how it goes sometimes.
They're mad that you're giving them free money?
Well, I think they tuned in a bit. like I had just stopped talking about football, and then I started talking about bets, and then they were like, football's around the corner, and you're talking about WNBA bets right now.
Some of these are my favorite texts where, we'll be, even if it's football especially, you could spend 2.5 hours of a 2 hour and 45-minute show talking about football, and then we'll get a text or there'll be a crazy story about something weird, and I'll spend 30 seconds talking about the Reds sucking and how I want Nick Kral's head on a spike, and people will be like, oh my God, we've got football in 17 days. How can you not? Or, basketball teams rolling in the winter, and we'll spend the first 2 hours of the show just talking about the last game or the next game or something going on, and then we'll get one text from somebody who's like, hey, man, what's your favorite ice cream flavor from Baskin-Robbins? And we'll spend 30. How can you be talking about ice cream at a time like this? Like, it's a 3-hour show. 3 hours is a lot of talking, and it's not just limited to when you're tuning in. Thankfully, you have the podcast, so you can go back and we can prove it to people. Like, we've talked about a lot of stuff. Today will not be one of those days where we're just talking about sports nonstop for 3 hours, just because I'm completely ill-equipped today to do that. Speaking of, Roman, are you a coffee guy?
I'm an iced coffee guy.
So this is one of those things. I feel like I've known you now for going on 2 years, and I don't know your morning routine. I don't know if you're a coffee guy. I don't know if you're how you get yourself fired up in the morning.
Waking up with a coffee girl has changed a little bit in that realm for me now.
Okay.
I'm not actually. I can't even say that I'm a coffee. I do like an iced mocha. If I walk into any coffee shop right now, I'm getting an iced chai.
That's your go-to? Okay.
It's my go-to.
But you're not one of those people that...
Sometimes a dirty chai with a, shot of espresso in it.
Ooh.
Espresso.
You're not one of those people that, like, I've got to have my coffee to get going.
No.
I don't need... Because I've become that... I mean, I've always been that person. I took a few years off drinking coffee for health purposes, and now I'm back. And it's bad.
I'm the opposite, really, Mike. Caffeine has such a stranglehold on my nervous system, I guess, that it really amps me up at the start of the day, and then around 5 or 6, I'm going to get tired.
See, mine doesn't. Coffee doesn't really do anything to me at this point. I enjoy the taste. It's more of a routine thing, and if I don't drink it, I get a terrible headache, which is how you know that you're addicted to something. But I'm too far gone at this point. I bring this up because
that's another thing. I've had a caffeine headache before.
It's terrible.
Like if I drink a caffeine drink in the morning 3 days in a row, I'll have one.
It's a terrible feeling.
And I don't need it. Don't want that.
I bring this up because there's a story out today. Coffee that's been sold in 48 states has been recalled for potential glass fragments in the coffee. How'd you like to be having your nice little cup of joe in the morning, getting things going? Just boom, little glass shard in the back of your throat.
Ugh.
Not a good feeling. This is from, if you bought coffee from a Dollar General in one of 48 states, including Kentucky, on August 11th, or I guess between July 9th and between July 21st, if you bought Clover Valley instant coffee from a Dollar General, you might be about to drink some glass. Get it out of there. They've recalled it. Those were distributed, like I said, between July 9th and July 21st. The recall happened on August 11th for potential glass fragments found in that specific brand of coffee. The only 2 states not affected, Hawaii and Alaska. The other 48 states, you may have some glass coffee out there. So keep your head on a swivel. Don't drink glass. It's not going to go well for you. All right, here's what I want to talk about today, not glass coffee. There was a story in the Courier Journal, and the story actually came out a few days ago, but people really started honing in on it the last couple of days because, as with everything, when you share the actual details of the story and you don't make people read it, it goes a little bit more viral. But the Courier's Peyton Titus, who's done really good stuff over there, she sat down with Josh Hurd to talk about how is the $20.5 million of revenue sharing money, how is that going to be distributed? How have you guys figured out the way to handle this in the first year of this new era? And U of L had said in the past, before that they got to this point, that they'd like to give money to 5 sports, the 5 that are producing them the most or the closest to turning a profit. 5 sports did turn a profit in the most recent calendar year that we've got the financial details for. And those 5, it should come as no shock, are the ones who are going to be getting the revenue sharing funding for this upcoming season. I mean, Roman, do you want to guess the sports?
Basketball, football, baseball.
Correct. You said basketball.
Women's basketball.
Men's and women's basketball.
Yeah.
And then 4, what's the 5th one?
Volleyball.
Volleyball is correct. So those are the 5 sports that are going to be getting basically these investments from the University of Louisville, athletes from the other 18 sports are not going to receive any revenue sharing money.
Sounds so bad.
It sounds unfair. Now, there are other ways that they can go about, producing some NIL money. The coaches are going to have to get creative. I mean, there are also added scholarships for some of these sports, which will help out. But yeah, if you're, and it's weird because there was a point in time, not that long ago, where you would have said, men's soccer is probably going. We were a perennial top 10 program.
Pretty much guaranteed tournament team every year.
I mean, pretty much guaranteed national seed in the NCAA tournament. Had that great run in 2010 where we were undefeated, made it all the way to the national title game, and got beat by a very good Akron team. And it's kind of, I feel like this may fluctuate. Let's say, and I don't think this is going to happen, but let's say volleyball falls off a cliff without Danny Busboom Kelly. Dan Meskey just doesn't get it done. Volleyball goes south. Again, do not think that there's any chance that happens. I think Meskey's the man. I think we're in good hands. But if it did, and another program were to rise to prominence, let's say softball becomes a national powerhouse. They've had some good years, but they've never made it out of a regional in the NCAA tournament. Let's say they have a crazy season this year. Holly April leads the squad to the College World Series, and people fall in love with softball. Maybe in a couple years, that money that volleyball was getting starts going to softball. I feel like you've got to kind of football and the two basketball programs, those are your rocks. Those are always going to receive funding, and if we're being real, football and men's basketball are going to receive the lion's share of the funding every year, regardless of performance. Is it fair? No, but those are your two biggest moneymakers. Those are the two sports that fuel just about every major American college sports program.
How much harder is it going to be for these teams to build that potential powerhouse now, though, Mike?
That's the question.
If the best softball player in the state goes to Sacred Heart and Kentucky can give her a little bit of money and we can't, or they can give her high four figures and we can give her low four figures, right? Like she's going to go there. She's going to go to the school that can give her a little bit of money.
You're fighting an uphill battle. I mean, look at the woman who went to Texas Tech this year. Yeah, she was pitching for Stanford, one of the better softball teams in all of the sport. And then an oil baron comes in and is like, hey, would you like $1.2 million to play for a Texas Tech team that won like 3 games in the Big 12 last year? And she says, sure. Next thing you know, Texas Tech's the national runner-up. You're going to have to compete with, obviously that's sort of an extreme example, but if you are trying to build softball, and we're just using softball as an example, into a program that can compete with the best of the best, there are a lot of programs out there that are going to invest serious funds into softball. Oklahoma, they're going to fund softball pretty heavily. All those schools in Texas, they're going to fund softball pretty heavily. You're going to have to, if you're Holly April, get creative or just find a wealthy alum who cares more about softball than the average person does. If you don't do that, then it's going to be pretty tough. So Peyton Ties in the sit down, she got Josh Hurd to tell her about how they weighed essentially 3 major factors when it came to the allocation of funds and how they were going to decide what to spend where. The first factor, I think, is the most obvious one, and it's return on investment. She said in her story, football, men's basketball, and women's basketball are relevant here. In addition to cash flow opportunities from CFP appearances, the ACC's new revenue sharing model will distribute 40% of TV money evenly among the league's 14 most long-standing members, which includes Louisville. The other 60% will be distributed based on football and men's basketball ratings from the past 5 years. Men's and women's basketball also offer units for participation in the NCAA tournament. That's lots of opportunities to recoup costs and help fund Louisville's other 20 sports. This is where, Kenny Payne is still kind of screwing us here, right?
Yep.
Because the men's basketball ratings, they're not just going to base it on the most recent season. It's a 5-year rolling average. Thankfully, and I say thankfully, it could obviously be better.
Kenny, when I catch you, Kenny.
But think about the 5 years that we're talking about. It's not just the 2 Kenny Payne years. It's the awful season in Chris Mack's last year, and then the year before that where COVID affected the season and we ended up missing the NCAA tournament. The good news is, even with Louisville being so dismal in those 3 years, the current rolling average over the past 5 college basketball seasons, we still rank 5th in the ACC in terms of television ratings in men's basketball. And I believe we're 4th when it comes to ratings in college football. So we will be one of those programs unless something insane happens. Something insane's already happened, and Louisville fans were still willing to watch a 4-28 team far more than the average fan base in college basketball. There's no way, unless half of the population of the city of Louisville dies and our TV ratings go down as a result of that, where we aren't one of the schools that benefit from this new revenue-sharing deal in the ACC. 60% of our TV money is going to be based on how many people are watching us. We're not going to draw as many eyeballs as Clemson football. We're not, whether it's a good season or a bad season, going to draw as many eyeballs as Florida State. We may not draw as many as Miami. If they're having a good year, if they're having a down year, they're not as much of a draw, and they've got kind of a whatever fan base. But everybody else, we should be right there. There's no reason for us not to be the 4th or 5th most watched team in football every single year. And then from this point forward, you expect us to be top 3 in TV ratings in men's basketball, I would say, every year. Duke and Carolina, it's not just their fan base watching. They draw national ratings. It is what it is. Duke is currently the biggest draw in college basketball. They've been that way for a long time. That's going to be tough to overcome. But if you combine football and basketball TV ratings, Roman, I mean, we should be right there near the top, right? Like, Clemson's basketball ratings aren't going to be great ever. Florida State's basketball ratings aren't going to be great ever. While we might not be top 2 in either one of these major sports, tell me which program has a better chance of having, being top 4 in both sports on a semi-annual basis, or top 5 in both sports, There isn't one.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there is one, Mike.
It's us. I mean, if you look at the rolling average in basketball for the last 5 years that's out there, the most recent update that they had in 2023, 2024, here's the top 9 when it comes to TV ratings. And bear in mind, up until last year, we were top 3.
Okay.
So Duke is 1, Carolina's 2, Virginia is 3, Syracuse is 4, we're 5th, Florida State 6th, NC State 7th, Notre Dame's 8th, Miami's 9th. Florida State's not jumping us in men's basketball viewership rankings, especially when these last couple of years. Keep in mind, these ratings are still including some pretty good years at the beginning of that 5-year rolling average, which dates all the way back to 2017-18. They're not going to maintain that type spot. Syracuse numbers, you expect them to go down as you got some more of these bad seasons factoring into the equation. We're going to be top 5 every single year, even with some of these bad seasons still factoring into the rolling average. And then with football, again, if this were a thing for the last 5 years, I believe we would have been 4th, is what I was saying. So we are going to be top 5 or at least very close to it in both sports. And I don't think any other athletic program is going to be able to say this. So we should benefit from this new system just about as much as anybody else, which is, you can say, well, it's not really fair. If it's unfair, at least it's going to be unfair for us in a positive way moving forward. And that is one of those things that can help softball, men's soccer, women's soccer, field hockey, all the other programs that aren't going to get money directly from the university. So the second major factor that Josh Hurd said they took into account when figuring this whole thing out was the external impact of success, or if you want to simplify that, good PR. In the story, Peyton Titus writes, a trip to the Men's College World Series or a spot in the Women's Volleyball National Championship does not equate to a big payday, but it does shine a positive light on U of L athletics, more so than a top 25 team finish at the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships, as both Louisville's men's and women's squads achieved this summer. U of L baseball saw a 27% year-over-year increase in social media impressions from 2024, when the team didn't make the NCAA tournament, to 2025, when we played in the College World Series, according to Learfield. The 2024 Volleyball National Championship between Louisville and Penn State drew 1.3 million viewers, peaking at 1.9 million, according to ESPN. Viewership and visibility are key. I mean, this makes sense too, right?
Yep.
it's not return on investment is good, but baseball and volleyball are never going to be gigantic money makers for you. Soccer teams are not going to be gigantic money makers for you, but volleyball has been, according to every metric that's out there, one of the fastest growing college sports in America for the last handful of years. The TV ratings are up. They're getting more primetime slots. ESPN is showing them more love. Visibility for your program is a good thing. Even if, like they write about, going to the College World Series, it does not equate to a big payday. You don't make a ton of money off going to the College World Series. If you win the whole thing, it helps financially, but it's never going to be as much as making a deep run in the NCAA men's basketball tournament or having a very good football season. Still, it's a nice little bump for your program.
Yeah.
It's a nice little brand enhancement. And stuff like that does matter when it comes to partnerships, advertising, all that stuff that does bring in dollars and cents moving forward. So, bowl games lose you money. People talk about, well, why do teams even play in bowl games? We lost a ton of money when we had to travel all the way out to California for the Holiday Bowl. And the answer is, you still need that added visibility. The bowl game TV ratings are, we've talked about this every year, still ridiculously high compared to most normal sports and ratings for them. So while you might not get a ton of money from, you're going to lose money from playing the Sun Bowl against Washington with 7 of your starters sitting out the game or more of your starters in the transfer portal, whatever it is. There's like 1 million people watching that game, and they see Louisville, and they're like, oh, yeah, Louisville was good enough to play in a bowl game this year. Maybe they didn't follow the team all that closely, but they know that you beat Washington. It's still better for your brand to lose money and play a game in front of millions of TV viewers that means nothing. If we'd lost the Sun Bowl last year to Washington, would it really affect where we stand going into this year? No, but it still helps with the brand. So good PR still is taken into effect when it comes to the divvying out of funds. And then the last thing that Josh Hurd said they took into account was coaching staffs with a proven track record. Last year, Jeff Brom became the first Louisville football coach to win 19 games over 2 seasons since all the way back in 2014. Pat Kelsey, biggest single-year turnaround in college basketball last year, biggest single-year turnaround in the history of Louisville basketball. Jeff Walz, 16 NCAA tournament appearances in 18 years. Every record that the women's basketball program has achieved has essentially come under his watch. Dan McDonnell, same thing for him. He basically built the baseball program. And then Dan Meskey, even though he's new, has been the right-hand man to Danny Busboom Kelly during this run of success over the past 8 seasons, where U of L's gone from this okay program to one that's played in 2 national championship games and 3 Final Fours. So it makes perfect sense that you're taking into account these guys have been successful for a number of years. We expect them to be successful moving forward. We don't expect Jeff Brom to suddenly become a coach who can't win more than 3 or 4 games a year. We don't expect, Pat Kelsey's new, but doing what he did in year 1 shows us that he should be able to be consistently successful when given the resources that he's now going to have moving forward. Same with Jeff Walz, same with Dan McDonnell. Dan Meskey's not coached a single game, but we know what he's capable of, and it seems like he's got the tools in place to keep the momentum of the volleyball program rolling. So guess what? You guys have shown us a lot. We're going to give you some money. We're going to make sure that you have every tool at your disposal necessary to keep that success going. This is Louisville was prepared for this. U of L, when it comes to strategy, when it comes to planning ahead, we've been very ahead of the game since this NIL deal started. We were more ready for the NIL era than most athletic programs. I think we were more ready for the transfer portal era than most programs. And now with the revenue fund sharing era coming up here, it does feel like we're more prepared for this than most programs across the country. I feel like we're on stable footing moving forward. I know that it's going to be a year-by-year battle. For instance, donors are very excited to give money to U of L football right now because they love Jeff Brom. You love the story of having a local boy come back. We've played an exciting brand of football the last couple of years. We've had some signature wins the last couple of years. You're always going to be just 1 5-7 or 6-6 season away from people from some of these donors saying, well, what am I paying for? Why would I pony up again? You're going to ask me for 4 figures, 5 figures, whatever it may be, when you're going to go out there and your team's going to give half-assed efforts and we're not going to see, like, what's the return on investment for me? And that's the world that we're going to live in moving forward. Like having
shame, Mike.
It is, but like having successful seasons has always been important when it comes to momentum and setting the stage for an even more successful season a year later. Now it's going to be important for being able to just fund your programs moving forward. It really and truly is professional sports.
Yeah, it's going to fully be a business at that point.
Yeah, I mean, people have talked about, if you have a terrible season in football, and I know football's got a salary cap, but still, if you have a terrible season in football and the gate goes down, the last half of the season is horrifically attended, you're going to lose some money. You got less money to go after free agents. The owners have to pony up some of their own cash. Not a lot of owners like to do that. So it does affect the team's future success when you have down years. It's going to be the same thing now in college sports, which is crazy to talk about, but it's very much the world that we're living in right now. I still think when all's said and done, I like the leadership that we have. I like that Josh Hurd is saying he feels more strongly now about the leadership we have across all sports than he has since he's taken on this job. And it seems like we're in a good place going forward. I know the ACC isn't in as much of a position of power as the schools in the Big Ten and the SEC are, but we still got some good things happening for us. I always thought that if we had gotten to a world where players were being paid, that Louisville would be one of the schools that benefited the most from it. Just because, look, we're a big-time city, not top 20 city in America, but still a major American city without a major American sports franchise. So the result of that is you got a decent amount of people in the city that have heavy pockets that are looking for ways to empty those pockets. And a lot of those folks grew up being diehard U of L fans. So I always thought, and even if they didn't, you got a lot of businesses out there, a lot of entrepreneurs that know that having U of L athletes endorse their products it means more here than it does in small college towns or towns where the athletic program isn't as successful, or cities where you've got professional athletes that can endorse products. So I always thought that we would benefit a lot from this, and it seems like we're heading in that direction. I mean, think about it. If this world didn't exist right now, Roman, and we were coming off of 2 basketball seasons where we won a combined 12 games, and even if we hired Pat Kelsey, there's no way in hell we go to the NCAA tournament last year.
Nobody's coming to Louisville.
There's no way in hell. I mean, and even if they did, those guys are sitting out in the portal era. Those guys, we're not getting the big. Chucky Hepburn's finishing his career at Wisconsin. Terrence Edwards is, even if you've got the grad transfer rule where you can transfer without punishment, he's not coming to Louisville. You're not getting any of those guys. We have one of those Tom Crean, Indiana year 1 type seasons where it's like, man, just get guys that want to play hard, get guys that maybe you can develop into better players.
It would have been half Charleston's roster.
It would have been half Charleston's roster and then like 6 freshmen that would have been forced to play big-time minutes that we hoped could be great. Like, we wouldn't have that much hope for this
J.J.
year.
Traynor and Caleb Wynn, like a couple of guys would have had to stay.
We would be in an entirely different position. We would have won maybe 10 games last year, and everyone would say, well, but it seems like Kelsey can coach. I like the way that the team worked, and maybe, just maybe, we could win like 18 games this year, and then in year 3 we could make the NCAA tournament. Instead, snap of a finger, we were a top 10 team in the AP poll going into the NCAA tournament last year, and we look like we're going to be a top 10-ish team going into year 2 with more realistic aspirations of playing deep into the NCAA tournament, and even a healthy handful of folks saying this could be a Final Four team. That doesn't happen if we don't have this new system that is, I think, pretty advantageous to us, especially at the major program level.
I agree. Just kind of remove some tier of passion from the sport, Mike.
You think so?
I think so. Not from the players.
I think it's still
not
too
from
early.
The fans, but
I do.
How you have to operate as an organization, I think so.
Maybe it will. Like maybe it's starting, and it's still too early to see those signs in any sort of tangible way. And 5 years from now it's going to be impossible to ignore. I don't think it's going to be the case. I think people are going to realize, as much as we've loved players, as much as we've loved guys, and as much as we would like to have the old system back, we still primarily have been cheering for laundry our entire lives. It's all about the name on the front, and our passion's not going to go away. It's still too early to really know for certain, but if folks were worried that the casual fan was going to bow out of college sports because of this new era, I mean, you see it on every post where it's like, if someone makes some sort of tweet about this new NIL era or the congressional settlement or anything like that, you'll have a bunch of people like, college football's ruined, it's over, nobody cares about this anymore. And then you look at the ratings for both the NCAA tournament last year and college, like everything's up. Attendance is up a little bit from the last couple of years. The TV ratings are up. There's nothing that indicates that people are upset enough about the way that college sports are going.
I think it
check out
makes the fans more involved. Now that the teams are more in control, your school is more in control of how it can go and recruit, how it can go and build your rosters in both of those two major sports. Fans want to give their say-so even more so now. I think even to the casual fans that have less information on how it's all going down.
Well, the off seasons have become like professional sports, where there's never really a day off. I mean, we're
critiquing off-season moves now.
Well, I mean,
how much are we going to spend on that guy?
Exactly. Like it's free agency. Right when the season ends, everyone starts making these lists of guys that are hitting the portal, guys that could be. You've got a re-recruitment period going on. Like there is that period of time from when Louisville's basketball season ends to when the roster gets set is far more busy for us and as fans, as media people, as whatever, than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be the season would end, you would take a deep breath, you'd watch the rest of the tournament if we didn't win it, and the only thing to look out for was if the couple best underclassmen were going to go pro or not. Every now and then you'd have a transfer. Typically, it was somebody that wasn't that great for you. We didn't lose anybody who was a fantastic player for us to transfer to the transfer portal. And then, in recent years, in the last few years of the Pitino era, you were maybe recruiting some fifth-year transfers, but your high school recruiting was done. You knew that almost everybody who had eligibility left and wasn't going to the NBA was going to come back. It was super rare to have a transfer that you didn't expect. And, that was it. It was one or two big pieces of off-season news, and then you didn't hear anything about the team until the summer. Now it's nonstop, constant news and rumors and kids taking visits and kids who've played for
paid for visits.
It's absolutely nuts, but it's not uninteresting. I think we can all agree on that.
Kenny Payne was paying for selfies.
God, he was. Still one of the most ridiculous. He's paying for 17-year-old boys to take pictures with him and tweet about it. And then just have no interest in playing here whatsoever. I don't ever want to think about it again. Let's take a break. When we come back, Game Day Men's Health text line. You're up. It's 502-414-1450. Text in your thoughts. Whatever you got, we'll take it today. Your hour's up next here on the Mike Rutherford Show. 1450 begins.
Your folks might understand you by and by. Just move on up toward your destination.
Hey there, New Albany. This is Mayor Jeff Gahan. It's another year here in our River City, and what better time to show your support for our high school's athletic programs. Whether it's basketball or football, track and field or soccer, swimming or tennis, our Bulldogs are giving it their all on the field and court. So let's rally behind them, New Albany. Come out to the games, cheer them on, and let's make some noise. Let's show everyone what it means to be a part of the best city in Southern Indiana. Go Bulldogs.
Matt Dennison here, inviting you to join me weekdays at 11 a.m. for the Hoosier Report. Complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, interviews with prominent figures in Kentuckiana sports, and discussion of other sports topics important to Southern Indiana. That's the Hoosier Report with Matt Dennison, weekdays at 11 a.m. on the home for the Hoosiers, 1450 WXVW.
Honey Baked Ham in New Albany is the perfect spot for a healthy alternative to fast food. They provide a variety of freshly made sandwiches, as well as salads and delicious soups. And you can dine in or take it to go. They also have many dinner options such as ham, turkey, frozen sides, and desserts, which provide a complete meal. Catering is also available for small groups or large gatherings. Call Honey Baked Ham today, 812-941-9426, or visit them, 3602 Northgate Court, Suite 23 in New Albany.
Pratt Sporting Goods is Southern Indiana's team sports specialist and is your local Adidas team product dealer. Pratt specializes in outfitting your team, organization, club, or business in apparel, hard goods, and accessories from Adidas and many others. Kratz offers fundraising opportunities for your team, organization, or club through online web stores. Let our friendly staff get you started today by calling 812-282-5400 or visit and shop at our website at kratzsports.com.
Fall is for tailgating in the Ville. Full season and single game premium tailgate packages are available for the 2025 Louisville football season now. Packages include a front row seat to Card March, 2 premium parking spots, a 10x20 tent, and more. Fill out the interest form at gocards.com/FB tailgate to get more information.
Check the back seat.
Every year, dozens of children are forgotten in the backseat of a car by a parent or caregiver. All never thought it could happen to them. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
If you've been hurt in a car accident or hurt on the job, there's only one law firm to call. Call my friend Tony at the Collier Law Firm at 502-736-8141. Tony will get you paid. This guy used to work for the insurance company, so he knows the other team's playbook. Tony's a die-hard Cardinal fan. His family's from Portland and Shively, and he grew up in Fern Creek. With that combination, you know this man can fight and win. In an accident or hurt on the job, call Collier Law Firm. That's Colyer Law Firm. Call today.
Are you feeling self-conscious about hair loss? You can fix that issue today. Whether you're having thinning hair or total hair loss, Hair by Shannon will work with you to find the perfect solution. No surgery, no hassle, just a fresh, natural look you'll love. Hair by Shannon specializes in hair replacement systems that restore your natural look and confidence, with free consultations to help you find the perfect solution. Whether you need a full replacement, emergency service, or just a quick touch-up, Hair by Shannon has you covered with multiple systems and flexible payment options. Plus, as a full-service salon and barber, she offers everything you need to look and feel your best. Take the first step toward the new you and feel more confident. Call 502-572-4487 now, or visit Hair by Shannon on Facebook to schedule your free consultation today. Get the hair you've always wanted at Hair by Shannon, where confidence begins. 502-572-4487.
Wednesday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show. 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Happy to be here with you on a back-to-school Wednesday, at least for some people, not for everybody. But for my kiddos it was, and for, I think, a lot of folks out there. It's 17 days from kickoff. We're excited about that. We've been talking about the revenue sharing allocations of funds by Josh Hurd, the story that was in the Courier Journal. Shout out to Peyton Titus for a great read and some very solid info. And now we turn things over to you guys on the Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Whatever's on your mind today, we'll take all texts. Like I said, I've not been highly tuned into what's going on today. Distracted a little bit, running around, but that's okay. We can do it for one day. We'll make good. Game Day Men's Health is always making good. They're also redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, and sexual performance therapy. If you have any of these needs, visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com and find out how they're defining a new era in men's health. All right, here we go. 502-414-1450. Let's see what you guys are up to today. Texter says, what is this? This is a question that was on your show, but now I'm very intrigued. So someone has a 2013 team-signed camo national championship jersey, and they're asking, is $1,000 fair to ask for it? It's unworn, not a game-worn jersey, but every player on the team has signed this jersey. Roman, your thoughts?
I said yes, Mike. I said, for me personally, it would have depended on. You watching TikToks in there, Mike? Jeez.
No.
I keep hearing some kind of music or something.
What's happening here?
I said it depends on the player. I said it depends on whose name's on the back and how you feel about that player.
That does matter. It says not a game-worn jersey. So is it just like because they would sell those with the numbers but no names on him. So it may just be kind of the generic whatever, not an actual player jersey, but maybe a player number.
I'd be surprised, though, if the whole team signed one of those. It makes sense, I guess, but
they have those group signings. You could
where it's just the same exact jersey basically, but with all the numbers and no names on the back.
Well, let's just say that it's like that's the case. That it's not a specific player's uniform. It's just one of those generic U of L camo jerseys, like number 2, like Russ Smith, but no Russ Smith name.
Yeah.
But yet every player has signed it. I feel like $1,000 is a fair price.
Unworn tag on it still? I'd say yes.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't pay it, but I guarantee there's somebody out there who would.
If it was like a starter, especially, I think, though, I wouldn't mind having it.
Well, I mean, the key thing here is every player on the team signed it.
True.
I think $1,000 is fine. Texture says, did you listen to Scoots' joke of the day? It was risque. Well, that's disgusting, Scoots. How dare he? Scoots is supposed to be the moral backbone of this whole station. And yet he's out there telling risque jokes. I need to hear the joke now. Boxcar Bob said, what song do you all think you could listen to on repeat for the longest amount of time? And how long would it take before you turned it off? This is a good question.
This is a good question. Flashing lights came to mind first.
Flashing lights. You hear that like 7 times, though. The seventh time that starts, you're like, ugh.
That beat might get...
I feel like I would almost go with something...
like Beethoven or something.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Something classical. I enjoy some sonatas by Mozart. Adagio un poco mosso. Something lengthy that just kind of chills and has a couple parts in there where there's a little bit of a crescendo, and you can like. I think that would be the best for sanity. If you feel like that's cheating, then I think you've got to go with a song that has some sort of different. Okay, so like Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody has some very different movements, very different
That's true.
sounds throughout it. It can keep you on your toes a little bit, but also it's super loud in parts too, and I think after a while I would get kind of annoyed by that. I'll still say that's my answer. I think the best answer, though, is something more laid back. I think if you're listening to something on repeat for a long time, you want something that's a little mellow. Because In Your Face, getting you revved up, that works really well for a couple of runs. After that, you're like, all right, I need to ramp down just a little bit.
I agree. I think too mellow, you'd eventually be craving some
you would
craze in life.
I still think I can make it longer with like more of a mellow song than I could with something that was a little bit loud. Texas, only 10 days until college football starts. I know there's not many games next weekend, but it seems like it's inevitable for the season to move earlier. And if they're going to go earlier, could they at least give us better games to start the year? Primetime Stanford at Hawaii isn't exactly screaming kickoff weekend.
So it is, though.
No, yeah, I mean, I know that the big game is kicking off at noon, and that sucks, but it's being played in Ireland. So I would like to see them have a more sexy primetime game. You know, the big game for week 0 the last handful of years has always been that first game because they're playing it overseas. Was it Florida State BC last year? Remember that was the huge shocking upset because Florida State was preseason top 5, and it was this crazy upset that Boston College beat them at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, and ended up not being so crazy in hindsight. But at the time, it was like, oh my God, this is going to be the wildest college football season of all time. I would like it. It would be nice on that Saturday night to have something at least semi-sexy for an 8 o'clock kickoff on. Like Fox has a game on in the middle of the afternoon. It sucks. Give me like number 20, whoever that is, against a average group of 5 team. I'll watch that at 8 o'clock on week 0 night. I do kind of feel like the more that they haven't really ramped up week 0 over the past few years. It's basically remained the same format, but it does feel like they're at least testing out the possibility of moving the season up a week, just because conference playoff, college football playoff expansion feels like it's inevitable at this point. You may need an extra week of the postseason. Nobody wants to get rid of the conference championship games because of how much money they bring into the leagues. So they're not going to cut that week off, and they don't want to lose a week of the regular season because, again, that's more money. This whole thing is going to revolve around money. So I would not be shocked at all if week 0 becomes week 1 at some point over the next 5 years. Texter says, PRTG here. What's up, PRTG? I know it's bad for radio, but C picks above. One might be useful. This is a chat GPT. It's Anwar Stewart, the UK offensive line coach. Oh, making his quote from last week. It is like a graphic where he's doing the whole, if they want to be Debbie Downers and tell us that we're going to be 4-8, their ass can wait. They can wait till the first game and see what we have. I mean, I like this guy, and there's one of Rick Pitino punching the thinker, which is a take on a text from yesterday's show. This, who I know nothing about the UK defensive line coach who's making these comments. If it works out, if they have a good year, if they go 7-5 or 8-4, he's going to look pretty good. He becomes a little bit more beloved in that fan base. If it doesn't work out, let's say the worst case scenario happens, they lose to Toledo week 1. It doesn't matter that nobody knows who this guy is. That quote's getting thrown around everywhere. Every Louisville fan, including myself, is going to be sharing those types of graphics. He's going to be throwing that quote out there. Like, he had more to lose than gain by saying that. But, sometimes as a college football coach, I guess you gotta let him hang. Got to put yourself out there a little bit. TJ Walker, the sports talker, texted in and said, sorry to hear about TBG's passing. He was very nice to me after we'd gotten off on the wrong foot. Sent me some very nice DMs a few years back. Seemed like a good dude. Yeah, it's definitely super sad. TBG was definitely like a caustic internet personality. He would go pretty hard, but in real life, he was more of a
down-to-earth guy,
a lighthearted dude, for sure. I saw TJ and his wife walk in their daughter into school this morning. Didn't get a chance to say hi, but it sounded like they had a good day as well. But it's good. TJ just hanging out with TJ now. We're just gonna be social butterflies for the next 10 years. It's gonna be great. Can't wait for it. Texture says, I just want to know TK's opinion on the new King of the Hill. I'm assuming he hates it since it's modern day. So, Roman, at one point, Trevor watches more TV than anybody I've ever known. And he would do this thing where he would announce on the show that he's like, oh, I'm starting a King of the Hill rewatch. And then 2 days later, he'd be like, I'm on season 6. Like he would watch like 5 straight seasons of King of the Hill. The thing is, he watches TV while he plays video games. So like that's kind of how he passes the time. But he rewatched the entire series of King of the Hill, which I think is like 11 seasons. And now they're doing a King of the Hill reboot that's airing on Hulu. And the first thing that I thought was like, oh my God, like, are you going to watch this? Are you mad about this? And he doesn't have Hulu. And Trevor refuses to pay for the one app that he doesn't have. So he's like, eventually I'll watch it somewhere, but I don't have Hulu and I'm not paying for it. So we'll have to wait maybe years for Trevor's take on the new King of the Hill season. Texter says, would you rather audibly fart every time we make a 3 this year or have to go poop every time we score a touchdown this year?
I think we'll have different answers here, Mike.
Audible fart.
I plan to be in the media section for a lot of these games.
That's a tough look for you. You'd have to hope that there's a hefty roar after every 3. But can you imagine going poop after every time we score a touchdown?
No. That'd be awful.
I got some long poops.
Mine would be all Four Loko infested.
Just crapping Loco at it everywhere. There are times where, it takes a little bit longer than you'd like when you got to poop. Imagine, we score a big touchdown.
And then we fumble recovery on the kickoff and score another one and you're still on the toilet.
Or, there's a minute, we score with 59 seconds left in the game to go up by 3 points. Still plenty of time for the other team to go, hit a game-tying field goal or, God forbid, a game-winning touchdown.
Put the TV volume on 80 and leave the bathroom door open.
I'm just constantly bringing the stream on my computer into the bathroom. I can't go to any games, No.
I'm
not crapping at Cardinal Stadium every other second.
Having to wait in line?
No. I feel like I kind of audibly fart every time we make a 3 anyway. Just get so excited. My wife's used to it. She knows it's going to be a rough night every time the cart. No, but I would take that absolutely over having to crap every. It's a good question.
I think I'd still take the fart. It'd be tough though. It'd be a bad look for me.
You'd be known as like it'd be a terrible look for the Big X. I would start getting texts about this, like, "Hey, why is your producer just
your producer smells?
Your producer's farting," and coincidentally, it happens every time we make a 3. It's like, yeah, man, it was a sports genie. Came to the station. I don't know. We had to make a choice. I don't know what to tell you. Little Dumper texted in. Said, I'm tired of U of L fans saying that we need to switch to Nike. It ain't happening. Also, I'm still accepting possible punishments for fantasy football collusion. I'm opening it up to the listeners. Well, we already told you. I mean, you got to beat those guys up. That's terrible. Not only is it not happening, the U of L moving to Nike, it would never be as financially advantageous for us. I know they help more with recruiting than Adidas does, that they're more in with better players. But look at this. So UK, I know the JMI deal is one thing we haven't gotten into, but UK, their latest apparel deal with Nike is 15 years, $252 million. I take that back. It's a 10-year deal worth $76.5 million. By comparison, our deal with Adidas that we signed in 2017 is 10 years for $160 million. Much more lucrative for us. The deal that I read at the beginning there is actually, it's the biggest deal with Nike is Ohio State, which has a 15-year, $252 million deal. Now, if you're Kentucky, you may say, as the basketball powerhouse that we are, and as an athletic department that runs more on men's basketball than just about any other, we're willing to take up the financial benefit that would come with an Adidas deal, or if New Balance came calling with a gigantic deal. Like, we need the recruiting connections. They help us out tremendously. For us, not being in the SEC, not being in the Big Ten, having to find ways to come up with money in order to keep our biggest programs not just nationally relevant, but in the mix for the biggest prizes and the biggest championships, we need all the extra money we can get. And having a insanely lucrative deal with Adidas it goes a long way towards helping in that department. Like, we can't afford to take a $100 million hit, or $84 million hit that UK is taking with their Nike deal, because we need that money. It's not coming from anywhere else. So I've always liked the relationship that we have with Adidas, outside of them getting us into trouble with the FBI and college basketball. Outside of that little hiccup, we've had a pretty nice run. Now, there was also news yesterday, and I don't know if this cuts into our deal, but did you see that Tennessee is officially now going back to Adidas?
I did.
After 12 years with Nike.
I did.
Don't love that.
I don't like it.
I guess it's good for Adidas' brand, which you would think in turn is good for our brand. But if they're going to cut into our piece of the pie, I don't love that. As long as it doesn't affect us financially in a negative way. Okay. Texture says, power rank these Louisville football moments over the past few years. The Jalen Alderman pick 6 against UCF, Jawar's first touchdown run against Notre Dame, and Isaac Brown doing the go-to-sleep gesture to the Clemson mascot. Man, this is really tough. These are, I think, the 3 biggest moments from the past, 4 years. I can't remember how far back the Alderman pick 6 was. The crazy thing is, so the Alderman one mattered without doubt the least, just because we already been blasted by Syracuse. UCF wasn't that great. It wasn't like this. But it was the most, it was the biggest moment out of all these. It was clearly the game-deciding play. We'd gone from feeling like we were going to win to, oh, my God, we just gave the game away, we're going to lose. And then the very next moment, we get the pick six off Dylan Gabriel. We take it to the house, and that's essentially the game's over at that point. There's like 6 seconds left. So that was, I think that caused the biggest reaction from the fan base. But it was in the least important game by a wide margin. The Jawar Jordan run, which the TV call for that is fantastic. Like the this place is gonna rock is a very cool moment in Louisville's history.
And it did.
And it did. I mean, I was there. It was nuts. And then the Isaac Brown is the only one that didn't happen at home, but
made history though. It solidified we were about to make history.
It did. Like that's when the game was officially done.
I'd go Isaac Brown, Jawar, Adelman. I know you don't want.
He says Adelman. It's Alderman in reality. And I may go the opposite way here. The Alderman moment is just like it's about as good a moment as we've had at Cardinal Stadium. And for Paul Rogers is going nuts. The place is just people are hugging random people. It's a wild ass scene, but like I said, it mattered the least out of all those. This is really tough. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Alderman number 1. I'm gonna go Isaac Brown number 2. I'm gonna go Jawar Jordan number 3. But I think those are the 3 moments. If you're just looking at moments in Louisville football seasons over the past 4 years, I think those are the top 3. That's really tough. That's a good question. Texas says the YouTube account Up From the Ashes has a bunch of older U of L basketball and football games if you ever need content for the summer rewatches. I rewatched the last game at Freedom Hall. It was just electric. It was funny to hear Fran Fraschilla say that Samardo would be a 3 to 4 year player and that he won't be leaving Rick Pitino's roster anytime soon. Yeah, he left that year. he was gone he probably should have been a 3 to 4 year player, but he came into college, I think, with a mentality of being 1 and done or 2 and done at the most. And after 2 good years, he left us for the NBA, was not drafted. But, yeah, I think Fran Fraschilla, like Fran and Rick Pitino are very close. I would assume that Fran saying that came directly from Rick Pitino, sometimes he would put things out into the ether, and it was more about what he wanted to happen than what he was actually going to happen. He'd be like, yeah, Samardo's going to come back. And Samardo did not come back. Okay, we have to go to break. Before we go to break, reminding you guys, if you have been injured in an accident or on the job, the Collier Law Firm is the only place to go here locally. They've got your back, not your wallet. Collier Law Firm. Every attorney over there, from Tony Collier down, they all have experience working for the insurance companies. They've got their playbook. They know how to use it. They're going to get you the most money that you can possibly get for your settlement, and then when that happens, they're going to make sure that you keep the most money for your recovery that you can, which is why their attorney fees start at just 25%, not 45 or 50% like these big firms are going to make you sign up for. Again, they've got your back. They don't have your wallet. Call the Collier Law Firm today at 502-736-8141 or visit them online at collierlawfirm.com, Colyer lawfirm.com. Hurt in an accident, hurt on the job. Collier Law Firm. More from you guys in the Game Day Men's Health text line after the break. Keep it locked right here. And Wednesday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical, 4 o'clock hour here on 1450 and 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. You guys have been filling up the Game Day Men's Health text line at 502-414-1450. Reminding you guys one more time about Game Day Men's Health. They are redefining men's wellness. We're talking testosterone, peptides, weight loss, and sexual performance therapy. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com today to find out more. I need to figure out, I want to do like a triglycerides test. I feel like I'm doing better. I don't know. The high triglyceride, it's still sitting with me, Roman.
You feeling better?
I mean, I feel fine. I don't know if I'm any healthier, but the abnormally high triglycerides are just, the burning sensation's gone on my right side, which is good. I don't know what that was all about a couple weeks ago, but I've changed the diet a little bit, I guess, but I want to know if that was just an anomaly. Just very strange. Very strange.
Interesting.
We'll figure it out. Get those triglycerides down. Get those tries down. 502-414-1450. Texter says, is this revenue sharing for all athletes equally within those sports exclusively, or is this NIL money distribution, so 16 sports get 0 NIL? Yes, 18 sports will get no NIL money directly from the University of Louisville. Now, you still can get money from outside sources. There was initially a ruling that said the official university collectives cannot fund NIL moving forward, and then I think that lasted for like 3 days before they lost in court again. So if the 502 Circle is able to raise funds for, say, men's soccer, they can distribute those funds to those players. Or if an outside donor wants to step up and say, hey, I'm a big women's soccer fan, I'm donating all this money, they can do that. But as far as the $20.5 million that the University of Louisville has to allocate amongst its student athletes, they have decided that that money will go to the athletes for just 5 sports. Specifically, the other 18 will not have official U of L NIL funding. Did you see the Kansas donation from today?
No, what was it?
There was a $300 million gift from David Booth. Not sure if he's in relation to John Wilkes, but maybe, based on his Kansas, just his love of a corrupt program. $300 million from David Booth to the to KU, which is believed to be the single largest gift in the history of college athletics. $300 million.
Wow.
Kansas has already said they plan to allocate $75 million of Booth's gifts toward launching Phase 2 of its transformation of David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium and construction of the surrounding Gateway District. You do a lot with $300 million, but they're going to improve the football stadium. They're going to, I'm sure,
I'd keep it the same and just have the best team in the nation for a few years.
Just go out there and give like $20 million to every great basketball player. You get Cooper Fly to come play for you if you gave him like $100 million next year. Kansas just like takes this. I know this is a sports show, and I know that sports, all the money that sports raise that helps out with universities, and I know this is like a nerd take, but can you imagine being an underfunded professor at one of these schools that just, is like, I haven't had an updated textbook in forever. My screen in my classroom doesn't work, and they're like, oh, $300 million is going to improve the football stadium for Kansas, which has had a grand total of like 3 decent football seasons in 150 years. That would be a bitter pill to swallow. Again, I understand it. I understand how much money the athletics raise. We're an athletic sports show, or athletic radio show. I'm a sports first type person, but I can also empathize with somebody out there who is an academics first person who's looking at all this money and just saying, my God, just give me like 2% of that, and my whole department is set. Come on. Texter says, oh, it's CFB. CFB here. Suck it, Mike. I don't know if you need to be worried about your Cubs right now. Today's text is coming to you live from my break room where I'm crying into my lunch because you were right. The Cubs are going to lose the division to the seemingly 1927 Yankees. I'm in awe of the Brewers, by the way. I am in awe of what the Brewers are doing every year, really, but specifically this year. Only the stupid Brewers could take a guy hitting under the Mendoza line and turn him into Aaron freaking Judge. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I won't even get to make fun of you for being swept because it probably means the Brewers will have gone from their last loss being the Cubs in July and having a 2-game lead in the division to facing the Cubs next week with a probable 10-plus game lead. P.S. I'm not the CFB license plate guy and don't really care much for the NBA, so I'll be Cavs fan Brian for Donovan. There it is. But he's not the CFB. We got to find the real CFB license plate guy because he's a Cards fan. But it's not this CFB. CFB's not going to want to hear this. But we had a disagreement in my Reds friends chat group last night. My buddies, led by Dan, they think if we're still in it by September, which I'm not sure we're going to be, but if we are still in it by September, he says we're chasing the Cubs and not the Mets for the last wild card spot. And then my other buddy, Rob, was like, I agree. Like, Cubs have been riding Boyd and Shota all year with a terrible middle relief and late inning bullpens. They didn't make one bullpen or starter move, which was baffling. Mets are going to be fine. Padres are legit. It's all about catching the Cubs. I don't think it's the case. I think the Cubs are too far gone at this point to be caught. I don't think the Mets are 100% for real. Their schedule's tougher. I think they're the team that we're going to be chasing. I just, however, don't think that we're good enough to catch anybody. But if we did catch up to the Cubs, Roman, who currently are like 5.5 games ahead of us, can you imagine if we took the last wild card spot from the Cubs and they didn't even make the playoffs? I mean, I would have to just delete Cubs fan Brian from the text line forever. He'd be off the show.
Be a bad look for him.
He's not allowed to listen to the show anymore. He'd be banned from the Big X forever. Not really. Texter says,
I have a question first.
Okay, go for it.
You see the tweets about, I know Matt Jones is not on the radio right now insinuating that the current administration is in bed with the media companies after what we just witnessed for 4 years?
No, tell me more. What's going on?
I don't know. I'm asking you. I guess that Matt Jones was on the radio today talking as if the current Kentucky administration isn't treating the media correctly or something like that. I've no. This is all. Like I said, I've not been paying attention to a ton of stuff going on today. I mean, is he talking about the? If he's talking about the UK JMI deal, well, I don't know how that would translate to what. Or this is political, actually. Okay, that makes more sense. Never mind. This is political. Well, I also don't understand how that's political. Anyways, I don't really know what's going on there. But I feel like the UK JMI deal is a gigantic risk for Kentucky moving forward. Like they're hitching their wagons to each other for 15 years, and I just don't know if it's the right thing. There's a lot of risk, I feel like, involved. I think he probably laid it out, I'm sure, on his show, because it sounds like he seems to agree with that take. But if it works out for them, it's a huge hit. If they don't, it doesn't, then you're going to have a lot of fans that are very, very upset for a long time. Texter says, Papa J here. What's up, Papa J? I really feel like the defense is going to be better this year. Had someone on the staff share that when some of the guys got their bag of money that they quit working as hard and really changed their attitudes early last year. It took coach until at least mid-season to get most of them back. Roman, our soccer expert, a quick question for you. Our third Lou City game was on Saturday. It's always a good time. And this was a great one. My question is as follows. Why at halftime do the subs stay out on the field and kick the ball around? Why do they not go to the locker room for instructions and game adjustments? As always, have a great rest of your show. Great question, Papa J.
That's a good question.
This is actually something that happens in the MLS a little bit. It happens in this side of the world. Like the Premier League, Champions League, FIFA, UEFA stuff. It's required for everybody to go back. I think when you're seeing it happen in the MLS and USL here, it's guys that typically know they're not going to play more times than not. But it's normal for guys who didn't play in the first half who know they're going to play in European ranks to everybody go back, and then the guys that didn't play, that weren't starters that are going to play, they come out before halftime's over and they get warmed up, so they're not, having to just do only their basic warm-ups on the sideline. They get to warm up with the ball and get fully warmed up because they know they're going to be coming in. Doing it over here, I guess, is just because there's no rules saying that they all have to go back, and I guess some of these guys, they're either probably warming up because they know they're going to come in quickly or they know they're not going to play. Yeah, it's different in Europe, though. It's interesting.
I still don't understand why it's different in Europe.
Well, because they make everybody go back.
Oh.
Because there's like field maintenance.
Oh.
Over there, it's not required.
It does seem weird that, like, I mean, imagine that. I know these guys some of them aren't planning on entering the game in the second half, but imagine there's an injury and a guy who's not planning on playing. What if he goes in there? He's got no idea what was said at halftime.
That's what's weird about it.
Feels very strange.
Yeah.
Like, I get in football, the special teams guys, sometimes they don't even go back in the locker room. If they do, they go back. Like, they're out a full 5-10 minutes before everybody else. Like, you don't need to know the offensive game plan or the defensive adjustments if you're a kicker or a punter.
Everything tactically has been practiced.
But with soccer, I mean, you would think that you would need to hear that.
That's why they do it in Europe. I know they bring them in. The guys that they know they're going to substitute, they'll give them their instructions. Hey, you're going to be coming in at this position probably at this point in the second half. If everything goes as planned, we're going to need you to do this. Cool, go out there and get warmed up.
What a great feeling, though, if your team was playing like crap and you knew like the whole squad was just going to get their ass ripped at halftime, and you're like, well, I don't have to go in there. I'm just going to work out here. That'd be great. What was the biggest, I mean, you played sports growing up. Do you remember the biggest ass ripping you ever got from, not you maybe specifically, but like a team that you got from a coach at any point in time?
JV, freshman year, might have been sophomore year. I was doing double rostering sophomore year. The JV coach, we were playing somebody, and just nobody was playing with any intensity. It was bad. It was like 4-0 at half, and it wasn't like he yelled at us the entire halftime, top of his lungs. Coach Kane, he was the gym teacher at No at the time, and it was nothing to do with soccer. It was all to do with intensity, effort, attitude, and then like he made some like if you guys let up this many, you guys are gonna have the worst practice you've ever had tomorrow. And that second half looked a lot better than it did in the first half.
My favorite thing that coaches did growing up, and I don't know if this ever happened to you. I feel like it happened to me 4 or 5 times. Is when it was always during a practice. If you were just like half-assing or somebody was goofing off or whatever, they gathered the whole team up and you just lay into us, and then they would do the deal where it's like, now you guys have to decide if you want to keep going. Like I can't do it for you. Like I'm gonna walk over here. If you guys want to go home, you just go home. And then they would like leave us alone. And every time we would just be like, what if we just left? Like, and then we come back like we're ready to go. Like we're ready to work hard. We're sorry. And it always happened. And I always thought like how funny would it be if we were just like, yeah, we're not feeling it today. We'll come back tomorrow, which never happened. But the best. It's funny. It was actually. So I don't know if it was the worst. We had some pretty bad ass rippings growing up. But my most memorable one was also, I was like doubling my sophomore year a little bit. I played, but this was a JV game for baseball. And we had this coach who I love, but he would fly off the handle pretty frequently. And he also was like kind of dyslexic, which I'm not making fun of at all, but it was very hard. It was very hard to maintain a straight face when he would yell at you and say some of the things that he was saying. And so we had a game, it was all the way out at Holy Cross. And I was dealing with a thumb injury. And they'd made this like special cast for me, but it took me forever to get it done after school. And these games were like 4:30. They're pretty close after school. So I was super late getting to the game. But somehow I completely missed the ass ripping. Like I got there for it, but I wasn't a part of it. Like the warm-ups were bad. And all I know, like I walk up there again, I'm like half an hour late, and he gathers the whole team, and he's got this look in his face. He's an ex-cop, and he just goes off. He's like, I can't even say like anything. But the key moment though was, he's like, you got your damn shirt tails tucked in, your hat's on back the right way. Like he was like messing up everything that he wanted to say. Like he wanted to say you've got your shirt tails tucked out, and like he's like your shirt tails are tucked in, because he just could not get it right. And I'm like looking around, and I'm like, just don't make eye contact with anybody right now. Like do not make eye contact, or I'm gonna lose it. And this guy made just like absolutely drop kick me, and I'm waiting the whole time that like I'm expecting that this is partly because of me. Like I just came strolling in 10 minutes before first pitch. I haven't even warmed up. I haven't done anything. And I'm waiting for like my time where he's just going to says nothing, starts me, hits me third. Like I got no ramifications from any of this. And I was like, I don't know how that happened, but it was just could not have laid into us harder. And then it was Holy Cross, so I think we won by a lot. But that was a very memorable one. I personally got absolutely destroyed one time when I was playing, I think, 13-year-old AAU ball, and I can't repeat any of it on air. It was just, it was absolutely terrible. 502-414-1450. Text us, happy Wednesday. Let's read another flyer for a show happening at Camp Spaceman. I'm not sure the camp. Camp Spaceman, Roman, you should know this. It's on.
I've heard of it.
It's on Barrett Avenue.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know what it is.
Well, remember I read that from the email that I got last week, where it was like Church Tongue is coming back to Camp Spaceman. So apparently this is a real flyer for camp for I guess it's not called. It doesn't look like it's called Camp Spaceman. It's called Sober Space. 710 Barrett Avenue, August 16th. That's this Saturday. You can see Camp KXD Elite Burn. I don't know if that's the band name or that's the album. And then also playing is going to be Death's Dynamic Shroud, which is a different band, KFC Murder Chicks, Xeon, Drook, Vomit Spit X Girl Pie, that's all one name, and then Fairy Eater.
Fairy Eater, that doesn't sound like a smart name.
It doesn't. I don't know if that's... I hear the KFC Murder Chicks actually shred. All this does is remind me of Wayne's World, where he's showing up at the band, where like all the venue where all these hard rock bands play, and he's like, who's playing tonight? Like Crucial Taunt and I'll say crappy instead of the SE word, Crappy Beatles. And he goes, are they any good? And the guy goes, they suck. And he says, so it's not just a clever name. I use that line all the time. KFC Murder Chicks, Roman. Is this real or is somebody just messing with it?
That can't be real.
Okay, I've got to look this. I'm sorry. I apologize to all the patient texters waiting to have their... Oh, it's a band! They've got like their own Google Images and everything. They've got an overview. They're on Instagram.
Really?
If they have more followers than me on Instagram, I'm going to be very embarrassed. They don't, but it's close. 5,636 followers on Instagram. KFC Murder Chicks. I'm going, the first thing that I do when I get out of this show is listen to a KFC Murder Chicks song. Because it looks like these girls shred based on their images. Their Spotify artwork is terrifying. It looks like the old Dracula with a weird face. I know what this genre of music is. I may have to go to Camp Spaceman on Saturday night, Roman.
Let's go.
Which, by the way, it's our anniversary. It's Mary and I's anniversary on Saturday. It's how we're gonna. 11 years. Who cares? 10 years is a big deal. 11 years. We're going to Camp Spaceman to see the KFC Murder Chicks. Cancel the Jack Fry's reservation. It's all about the Murder Chicks and Shrud.
I've been given a challenge, Mike.
Okay.
Been given a challenge from Bring Brom Home guy.
Okay, what's he saying?
My goal for Romy Bean this season is to chug. He at everybody. At me. At Four Loco. To chug at Four Loco at the start of the fourth quarter at the very top of the UPS flight deck for the Louisville football versus Clemson football game on November 14th. We need a live stream.
My God. I mean, this is fantastic content.
This is it. It's starting, Mike. I've been challenged. I have an appointment now. Hopefully, this game isn't a situation where it needs it early.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. So you got start of the fourth quarter,
and we went through a situation last year. I'm not going to be able to bring this in. Somebody's going to have to get a Four Loco to the counter for me to buy, or you're going to find Well,
we had like 75 volunteers the last time this came up for people that were willing to sneak in a Loco for you. If we get that many this time, then one of them is bound to be successful. You had no issues last year.
Yeah.
Not that we...
But I don't want to take the risk again.
We don't condone this sort of behavior, but we also know that we got to do what we got to do to win football games. So if we got to sneak in a Loco to beat Clemson, I'm fine with listeners sneaking in Locos. Imagine a world, Roman. Louisville's leading Clemson by 3. They're driving. They're looking for a touchdown that's going to put them ahead by 2 scores. The game's been back and forth. Third quarter ends. Joker and the Thief starts blasting. The crowd collectively turns their gaze upward. They look to the heavens. And at the very top of the flight deck, a young man
in his number 4 jersey.
In his number 4 Loco jersey. Pops the tab and just starts going to town on a 4 Loco. The place erupts. People are taking videos. Maybe the Jumbotron captures you. First play from scrimmage after all that madness happens. Play action. Deep ball. Chris Bell. 6. Dabo Sweeney craps his pants. Curls up in the fetal position. Starts crying. Roman flies down from the flight deck. Slams his empty Loco can on Dabo's face. And then walks off.
Take that to church.
Walks off. Walks off the field like a champion. Oh, I got goosebumps just thinking about it.
God, it feels good.
I think this needs to happen. Have you ever been all the way up there?
I have.
It's a hell of a walk.
It is. We were up there. That's actually, we were up there for the Pitt game.
Also, that alcohol at that altitude, it's going to hit you a lot harder.
Might be a little cold, too.
You're going to be black. You just black out. It's going to be great. As long as we beat Clemson.
With my luck, it'll be the second one of the day, too.
It's all that matters. Texture says, what's more likely? This is Dave, teacher from Jeffersonville. What's more likely? 1, a weekly football picks league for the text line on CBS or ESPN or whatever app, but only people with names. Just kidding. It should be for everyone. 2, that Roman takes the SAT because of this news story. Also, my big X big bet is that Mike won't watch Weapons until 2026. That's probably a good big X big bet. So this Courier Journal news story says all Kentucky juniors have been taking the ACT each year since 2006. This year, state officials awarded a contract to the SAT instead.
I never took the SAT.
I didn't know that this was like a thing that the state officials could do. I never knew why it was this way. But so if you were going to go to an in-state college, you had to take the ACT. The SAT was only necessary if you were going out of state. So now it looks like if you want to go to an in-state college, you're going to have to take the SAT. And the SAT, I think, is longer, I want to say. I took the SAT twice. I only took the ACT once. But Mary took the ACT like 4 times.
Isn't the SAT a 4-digit score?
Yeah. Well, it used to be when I was growing up, it was out of 1,600. And now I think it's out of 2,400. So I don't even know.
Like out of 2,000 or something.
It's something like that. I don't even know how to measure good SAT scores anymore. Like, I'll hear, hey, so-and-so's kid got a 1940 on the SAT. I'm like, are you making fun of him or are you proud? I can't tell anymore. It used to just be so straightforward. 1,600 was a perfect score.
A good SAT score is relative to the colleges you're applying to, but generally 1,200 or higher is a solid score, with 1,400 being excellent for competitive schools.
Well, so that's based out of 1,600 still right there.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,400 was always kind of if you were going to try to get into the, like, not Ivy League, but like the Virginias of the world or like some of the better schools that you had a shot to, 1,400 was kind of the bare minimum to have a shot at those schools for when we were growing up. Now, I didn't even think about that. Maybe not. I was going to have to get a great scholarship to go anywhere out of state, so I was not going to get a great scholarship to Virginia or anything like that. And I did not get a 1,400 on the SAT. I think I've told this story before. So we took the PSAT, I think at the end of sophomore year, and I did somehow extraordinarily well on the PSAT. I got my scores back, and it was like very high. And so I started getting all this mail from schools that are like, "Hey, man, you're a hell of a student. I hope you consider, Lafayette University." Like all these like pretty good schools that are sending me mailers about when you start taking the other standardized tests, like, please take us into consideration. And then Roman and I took the actual SAT, and I mean, I did fine, but I did not do like 98.8 percentile or whatever on the actual SAT. And the letters stopped coming from those types of schools. All it took was one shot at the SAT for all these schools to be like, all right, you're off the list.
Was it drastically different? Like the curriculum on it?
I feel like it was. I
always used to hear like it was way more writing or something like that.
The actual, Are you talking about the SAT to the ACT or the SAT to
the SAT to the ACT?
The SAT had more writing. The ACT was, I want to say it was 4 sections. It was like reading, math, science, and then there was another one.
ACT?
The ACT, yeah.
It was,
and then the SAT was just reading.
I think it was writing. I think it was writing, reading, math, science.
Because I did really well on the ACT outside of math. My math score just completely tanked.
Same here.
My overall
had a pretty great reading score and pretty great science score.
Yeah.
Writing and math, not too good.
It's just math for me. And then the weird thing, though, was like my SAT, my reading wasn't that much higher than my math. So, I don't know. Anyways. But nowadays, kids.
A weekly football picks league for the text line, it'd be too much.
So
Mike would have to handle that.
Yeah. The first year I did radio, we did something like that where it was, we had a deal with the Kentucky Humane Society where John and I, same thing that we do now every week. We pick 10 games, one high school that the listeners vote on Twitter, the local teams, and the other best college games. And so we did this thing where I made my picks, John made his pick, and then we would have a guest puppy picker from the Humane Society that would pick, and it was basically just our producer would make his picks as the puppy. And if you beat all 3 of us, you got entered to win a prize package for that week. And it was a pain in the ass to keep track of, Roman. Like, it was, I mean, I did it last year a little bit with or a couple years ago. If you beat us, you were going to, we did the whole grand prize. If you had a perfect week, you got entered to win the grand prize drawing. We did that thing. And that was a little bit tough to keep track of. So we would have to do it through ESPN, CBS, or somewhere where they could keep track of all the picks themselves.
I see.
But we can look at it. We got a couple weeks to try to think about how to set that up. We can make that happen. Texture says, Chris teacher says, no gun fact today. I'll just note that kids waiting for a school bus this morning witnessed a woman be shot and killed. Jesus. A person lost her life and kids will be permanently traumatized, but another texter may tell me again today how awesome guns are. I saw there was a shooting at a bus stop for a JCPS school. Nobody was killed, and they arrested it was like a 15-year-old that did it, which I just don't understand. Just don't understand. There's RIP TBG. His Mark Summers Twitter confrontation will live forever. That was an all-time great moment. So, backstory, I've told the Mark Summers versus me story before, where in the build-up to the 2014 Louisville, Kentucky Sweet 16 game, you know, I'm trying to calm my nerves out there. It's the Monday or the Tuesday night of that week, and we're counting down the days until this game happens. Everyone's nervous. Everyone's just, how do we handle this? And so to try to kind of lighten the mood up, I go on Twitter and I say, who's the most random celebrity we could bombard with tweets asking what his prediction for the Louisville, Kentucky game is, and then let's do it. And so, like, all these people are sending in suggestions. I think it came down to Frank Stallone, Sylvester Stallone's little brother, or Mark Summers, the host of Double Dare on Nickelodeon, among other things. And so I went with Mark Summers. He's on Twitter, and Kentucky fans join in on this as well. I think even some Indiana fans. So he'd been out to dinner or something. He comes home, didn't have a super active Twitter account, didn't have a big following, and all of a sudden he's got like 700 tweets from randos who are saying, hey, Mark, big fan. Who do you got in the Kentucky-Louisville game Thursday night? Finally, he responds, and he says, growing up in Indiana, I never really cared for either program. And I was like, that's not good enough. Like, you got to pick a winner. And finally, he's like, okay, if you put a gun to my head, I'm going with the Cats. And so Louisville fans like, oh, come on. And he responds viscerally, Roman. Like, he's like using homophobic slurs to go after Louisville fans. He's making fun of my tie in my profile picture. He's like, who tied that tie for you? Ugh. Like, all that. He becomes like a lifelong enemy to the entire Louisville fan base. And so a couple of years later, TBG creates this whole story where he's like, I beat you in darts at a bar. You owe me $20. We played darts for $20. I beat you, and you never paid up. And like Mark Summers is like, this never happened. Where was this? And he's like, it was at Sharky's or something. Like, he has this whole spiel. And then he eventually says, do you like Imagine Dragons? And Mark Summers is like, yeah, they're pretty good. And TBG responded with, "Imagine dragging these across your face." And it was a great moment. It was a wonderful moment. Let's take a break. When we come back, final hour of the show. I've got one thing we want to get to before we get back to you guys on the Game Day Men's Health text line. We'll look ahead to the night that will be in sports, make some predictions, and then call it a Wednesday. Hour number 3 of the Rutherford Show up next, right here on 1450 and 96.1 Big X. It's the final hour of the Wednesday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. United Mechanical, Kentuckiana business's winning choice for reliable HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration services. Call United Mechanical any hour, any day at 502-339-1133. I was thinking about this during the break, Roman. So, when's the next Atherton soccer game? When's the debut going to be now? Do we know?
For the home game, or
just like the next game?
They'll
period.
play Thursday.
Do we know who? I'm actually okay. I'm not going to ask.
Away. It's out. It's far away. Actually, I don't think it's a Jefferson County team.
What are they doing with the schedule? So they are playing. They're playing Bullitt East away on Thursday. Then they play North Oldham away on Tuesday, and then they're at Frankfurt. Or they host Frankfurt. That'll be their new home opener, August 21st. We need to come up with some sort of deal where if Rio does something this season, he gets to come on the radio show.
Hat trick. Against a team even or better.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't want him running it up against like
Seneca or Central
Walden
or something like that.
Yeah. Or he scores against Trinity.
That's okay. We'll give him a goal against Trinity or a hat trick against a team at 500 or better.
Equal-ish team on the schedule.
Yes.
All right. Something to look forward to. I'm all in on Raven Soccer. Let's go. Dylan Neal, that's my guy. Franklin Grizzly Proud, and then Roman on the PA. We're going to make it happen this year. This is the season.
I'm ready.
I feel good about this.
That time.
Game Day Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. We'll get back to you guys momentarily. We were talking about the divvying out of funds amongst the university and how it does seem unfair that you've got athletes from the revenue sports making all this money from the school, and then the other 18 sports aren't. I mean, I guess on one hand it seems unfair. On the other hand, it seems perfectly fair. Regardless, the result is the other programs, if they want to keep up with the Joneses, they've got to find different ways to make sure that their players are getting something. One of those things that came up, this was on Monday. So on the U of L men's tennis team, Russell Loco has been awarded, great last name, this is our new guy on the tennis team. He's been awarded a Francis Tiafoe UTSA Foundation Scholarship.
Wow.
He spent the last weekend, with Francis Tiafoe, one of the best American tennis players.
We're in Cincinnati.
I assume it was at Cincinnati. He's played in that tournament, now getting ready for the U.S. Open. Had this experience with him, and now is going to get a full scholarship to U of L, I think, for 2 seasons now, based on the Tiafoe Fund. I've got no idea how this works.
Russell Loco.
It's
my dad's last name, and the Loco is, some ties to the station here.
This is our guy. But if you're going to keep up with the best men's tennis programs in the country, you need stuff like this. Like, you've got to find ways to get your players on the radar of financial opportunities like this. And I've got no idea how that happens. I've got no idea what goes into establishing a Francis Tiafoe fund or how they pick and choose these kids. But you got to get creative. It's just more work for these non-revenue producing sports coaches. But what else is new? They've always been up against it. They've always kind of had to do things a little bit differently, and now it's just going to be doubly so with basketball, football, et cetera, having their rosters taken care of, and these guys having to compete with teams. There'll be some programs out there that do fund their men's tennis programs to a certain degree, or do fund their men's and women's soccer programs to a degree, and we're not going to do it. So coaches are going to have to find. We just need a star in every sport to help fund scholarships for some of our players. If we just do that, we'll be fine. We'll be good to go. Terrence Oglesby. We're Terrence Oglesby fans on the show, Roman.
We are.
He, works for the ACC Network, covers college basketball in a variety of forums. Has been
Talks good about us.
Talks good about us more times than not. Was one of the broadcasters for our trip to the Bahamas last summer. Has been on ESPN, been on Fox, been all over the place. He said, I'm coming out with my way too early ACC basketball predictions. He's got Louisville number 1.
Ooh.
Cards at 1.
First person to do that.
First person that I've seen. Duke at 2. NC State at 3. Wow. Carolina at 4. Wake Forest at 5. Miami at 6. Clemson at 7. Pitt at 8. SMU at 9. Virginia way down there at 10. Cavalier fans aren't going to love that. But how about this, Roman? A little bit of early season bragging rights for Louisville over Duke going into next season.
I like it. Are we going to have a drop-off again in the top 4 or 5, Mike? Do you think it'll be bad?
It's impossible to say. I don't think it'll be bad. I think there's going to be a drop-off in the standings next year, but I think it's going to be from somewhere around 6-7.
I hope so.
To the rest of the conference. I think there's I think there's a very good chance that the ACC puts 5 or 6 teams in the tournament, and that the teams that are 7-8 are at least in the mix. Sorry to cough right in the mic. I think Louisville's going to be very good. I think Duke's going to be very good. I think NC State, I'm with Oglesby. I think they're going to be good. I think Will Wade knows what he's doing, and he's got a roster that should be able to win a ton of games with. I actually think Virginia's going to be good. I think they're international prospects. I'm trusting people that I have trusted before when it comes to this sort of thing, and they've said UVA hit on these international prospects that they're bringing in, and Ryan Odom's a very, very good coach. He's won everywhere he's gone. I think they'll be in the mix. I think Carolina should be an NCAA tournament team. They should have been a safely in the field team last year, and they probably shouldn't have made it in. Miami's roster is good. I don't know if Jay Lucas can coach them. We'll find out. And then I think SMU is going to be good. Outside of that, like Syracuse could be okay. They've got some players there. Clemson's been really consistent, but their roster seems to have taken a dramatic hit with the guys that they lost from last year's team. Wake Forest, he's fifth. They're fifth on Oglesby's list. We think they're going to be good every year under Forbes, and he's, to this point, underachieved dramatically. So I think there's going to be a fall off at some point. And I think the bottom of the league has a chance to be just as bad as it was the last couple of years. Like I think BC is going to be bad. I think Florida State's going to be really bad. I know that they were decent last year. I think Stanford, their losses are going to be pretty hard to overcome. Cal lost Stojakovic. I think they're going to be bad. I think the bottom portion of the conference is going to have some rough non-conference losses. But I do think that the top 6 or 7 in the ACC this season are going to be either NCAA tournament teams or NCAA tournament caliber teams that are right there on the bubble firmly. And then after that, I think there'll be a little bit of a drop. But I'm telling you right now, this is going to start becoming a thing as we get to the 2-month countdown towards the college basketball season. There's going to be some back and forth between the Louisville and Duke fan bases online. We already had a taste of it last year. You kind of had a little bit of a contentiousness between the two programs. Duke beat us twice, and when we played them in December, we didn't realize how important of a game that was. But then it really came to a head with the Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, all the postseason accolades. When Kelsey beat out Shire and when Chucky Hepburn beat out Cooper Flagg for Defensive Player of the Year, that's when the two fan bases started going at it. They beat us in the conference championship game. They got the last laugh there. But you're going to have – Oglesby's not going to be the last person who projects us to win the conference. They think, well, look, we've owned this league the last few years. I know we lost some talented freshmen. Guess what? We brought back some talented players that are going to have heightened roles. We brought in some crucial players from the portal, and we've also got the number 1 recruiting class yet again. Watch what we do this year. Maybe we're not Final Four good, but we're sure as hell better than every team in the ACC. And I think Louisville fans feel like, I mean, top to bottom, our roster is better than yours. So most people, I would say, I think a majority of folks are going to have Duke at 1 and Louisville at 2. There will be some people that have Louisville at 1 and Duke at 2. I'll be shocked if anybody who's noteworthy has somebody else in the 1 or the 2 spot. And that's going to create friction between Cardinal fans and Duke fans. And quite frankly, I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. I want this smoke. I want this battle. We thought we were going to have a nice little back and forth with Duke when we joined the ACC. We did early on. First 4 or 5 years, we had some, we beat them about as much as they beat us. We finished as the only program to ever have a winning record against Coach K, who played him more than 10 times. And then they've beaten us, I think, 7 in a row now because we fell off the face of the earth. I love that there's going to be some friction between these two fan bases leading up to the start of this season. This is what we wanted, right, Roman?
This is exactly what we wanted. They asked for it, Mike, and they're going to get it now.
Now it's back. Let's go. Suck it, Duke.
I can't wait to beat them.
It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for it. Pat Forty had an interesting story. This is the last thing I'll talk about before we get back to you guys. I know we have a lot of text to get to. Pat Forty had a story today. The 25 most intriguing college football quarterbacks for 2025. I was a little bit surprised that Miller Moss didn't make the list. He was on the also considered portion of it just because, like, he seems kind of like a fascinating case study for both Lincoln Riley and Jeff Brom. But he's not in the top 25. Number one, I feel like, is obvious. It's Arch Manning from Texas. Would you care to venture?
What's the list called again?
The 25 most intriguing quarterbacks for college football in year two. Do you want me to read you the top 5, or do you want to guess?
I don't know. Is the quarterback I don't know. Klubnik's probably up there.
Klubnik is somewhere on there. He's 8, number 8.
Is the North Carolina quarterback up there?
He is 16, Gio Lopez. Number 1 is Arch Manning. Number 2, I get this. I don't think it's actually going to wind up being that interesting once we get to the season. But Nico Iamaleava,
okay, yeah,
coming from Tennessee, all the NIL deal and all that stuff. I mean, UCLA football, how interesting are they? If he has a great year, then clearly it'll become very interesting. If he has like just a whatever year and they go 7-5 or 8-4, I think people will lose interest pretty early on. Number 3, he's got Carson Beck from Miami, which I get. He's definitely fascinating. Going from Georgia to Miami can he put up Cam Ward type numbers this season? We'll find out. This was a guy that 12 months ago everybody thought was going to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft or had a chance to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, and now he's back playing college football at a different program. Number 4, Bryce Underwood from Michigan, and then number 5, your boy Roman, Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt.
That's so goofy.
Do you want to hear the first line?
Let's hear it.
Simply put, no Vandy football player has ever caused this much commotion.
It's going to be funny when he has 20 touchdowns and 20 interceptions this year.
There's a very real potential out here for him to be like this. It was cute for a while. Now we're kind of happy that you're falling on your face. I mean, did you hear what he said on the Feinbaum show? I don't think we had a chance to talk about it last week.
I saw it.
I mean, he's talking about, he's doubling down.
Yeah.
Saying that he thinks that Vanderbilt can win a national championship.
I love the confidence, Mike. I can't even knock him for it. It's what you're supposed to be feeling like at his position at this point in the sport. But
here's what he said. I mean, so here's the exact. So he made this the statement during the summer, earlier, about like our goal is to win the national title, and he got asked about it by Feinbaum a few days ago, and he said, "I think we've got the tools offensively and defensively to go really put our foot forward and go win a national championship. I wasn't cracking a joke. That's the standard." Well, first of all, it's not the standard. It can be the goal. That has never been the standard of Vanderbilt football. And let's just be honest, it will never be the standard for Vanderbilt football. I feel like we're walking a thin line, Roman, between I like the confidence, I love the braggadociousness, I love the way that he played against Alabama, and I kind of want to see this kid fall flat on his face now. Like the reality is going to come crashing down on Diego Pavia's head, and Vandy's going to go 4-8 or 5-7 and not do anything notable this year. And like you said, he's going to throw 20 interceptions or something like that. I
mean, that's an exaggeration. He took care of the ball, but it's just I feel like the opponents, he didn't play well against the good teams.
Well, he played well against Alabama. Alabama's the big one. The rest of the top 10, John Mateer, I'm definitely not gambling on sports. My great joke was making a payment and saying it was sports betting on a game that was definitely played that day, but it was just a joke. Great joke between friends. Who doesn't wire money to their friends and say sports gambling, UCLA versus USC on the same day that USC and UCLA play? Hilarious joke. He's number 6. Drew Aller at Penn State is number 7. Cade Klubnik at Clemson's number 8. They're both overrated. Number 9, the new starters at Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Alabama, who've not been officially named yet. Well, I think Alabama named the Simpson kid as a starter, but they're lumped together. And then 10, Sam Leavitt at Arizona State, who led the Sun Devils to the college football playoff last year. Give it a read if you want to. It's over there at SI.com. Pat Forty, he does good work, even though he's not getting Miller Moss on that list, which I disagree with. 502-414-1450 is the big Game Day Men's Health text line. We'll take a couple of texts from you here before we wrap up this 4 o'clock hour. Texter says, Mike, I heard you're coming back to Studio TV. Does that mean The Truth, the realest sports show on the planet with Master P and Mike, is coming back? First of all, I love that you used the actual name of the show. I think it's the first time that I've ever seen that used since the actual taping of the show. Now, this is not Studio TV, right?
I don't believe so. They haven't said so. Or it just stays the same, except you don't get any floating breaks anymore.
What do you mean I don't get any floating breaks anymore?
Like you don't, 28.
We're going to have a hard out at 28?
Yeah, there's no hard out. There's no floating breaks on TV, Mike. You got to have a hard out. So 28 will probably, you get to choose it, but I think 28 probably sounds smartest, right?
I mean, to my, and I honestly, my knowledge of this is limited to like a 5-second comment from Trey yesterday. He was like, hey, we're going to be doing the show on TV starting in September. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, did I tell you about that? I was like, no. So I don't even know. I assumed it was just going to be like a televised version of the YouTube stream that we were doing where I have cameras placed and you'll just be able to watch the radio show like you can with so many shows across the country now. But I don't think we're changing our studio up or anything. It's still going to be the standard University of Louisville College of Business studio. Although who the hell knows? Maybe we're going to be doing it on the Big Four Bridge at this point. I'm sure I'll find out the day before. Which Dugan was like, no, I don't think Dugan knew either. We'll figure it out. It's going to be fine. Texas, obviously Roman isn't old enough to know who Craig David is. But have you heard his new album that he released over the weekend? No. Roman, do you know who Craig David is without looking it up?
I do not. No.
All you need to know is that he had a stranglehold on the, I don't even know how to describe this, like R&B music that really appeals to white people for a short period of time. And I'm not, that's not like a knock. I enjoy Craig David's music. And apparently he's back and making music again, which I was unaware of.
He's English.
He's English, yes.
Okay. I'll give him a listen. I'll give him a spin.
This is love. It's not.
Does he not have an accent?
Not really. No, I mean, most English people, when you hear them sing, you can't really.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Every now and then you'll hear it a little bit, but yeah. What was the big Craig David song?
Born to Do It, or no? Rewind. Rewind. No, he was featured on that.
I'm walking away from the troubles in my life. I'm walking away. He had that song. I can tell just from your stunned silence that it means nothing to you. Can you fill me in? He had that song too. It was like a kind of like techno remix, upbeat. I think that's all that I know. That's about it.
Our guy had that one being typed at the same time.
Shout out to Craig David. I don't even know what to say. Okay, we have to go to break here in a second. Before we do, we're going to be at, we're going to be out there at Next Level Gun Range on Friday if you want to step out and see us. They've got certified and experienced trainers, including military, law enforcement, and homeland security backgrounds. They've got you can go to nextlevel.com, I believe is their website. You can check out all their information there, or you just stop by and see us while we're out there. And then one more reminder, the Big X Golf Scrambles going down Friday, August 29th. Breakfast will start at 6:45 a.m. Shotgun start at 7:30 a.m. It's earlier this year because we got to get things done with the KRC boys' new start time. So Elk Run Golf Club is the site. Raffles, food, prizes, live shows. Salsaritas is going to have lunch for you after the round. If you want to play some golf, celebrate the start of college football season, hang out with the Big X boys, potentially win some prizes, listen to some live sports radio, you can register. The very, 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 very easy way to do it is email bigxscramble@yahoo.com, bigxscramble@yahoo.com, and register your team for that scramble, which is going to be Friday, August 29th, early 7:30 a.m. out there at Elk Run in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Final segment of the show is up next. We'll get back to you guys on the Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Keep it locked right here on 1450 and 96.1, The Big X. It's the final segment of the day here on the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. We've got Roman's Big X Big Bets coming your way on Roman's Recap, which will start at 5:30. 3-0 day yesterday, looking to keep the positive vibes. What are we now for the month? We got to be up for the whole month, right?
Yeah, we're up. I got to go do a count here.
Okay. But all you got to know is that he's winning. He's producing. And you guys need to step up. We're supposed to have Reds Phillies start getting underway just in a second, but apparently we're in a rain delay already. Reds still just 2 games out of the last wild card spot. Mets finally got a win last night. They're not going to lose every game forever, but they are taking on the Braves at Citi Field tonight. Reds looking to take the series with the Phillies. They got not Hunter Green on the bump. Is it Hunter Green back today? That's not right. He's still with the Bats. I don't know why the stat thing is saying that. It is Hunter Green on the bump tonight. He's back. Can't imagine he's going to pitch a bunch, but we'll see. I've got no faith in the Reds winning this game. I hope it gets rained out, Roman. We're playing Espinal and Hayes and hitting them back-to-back in the lineup tonight. Brian Hayes, not Austin Hayes is also playing tonight. I hate this lineup. I hate it.
14-10 in August here, Mike. Big X, big bet.
Attaboy. I told you it was going to be a profitable month. I'm feeling it. Big thanks to everybody who texted in today. As I said at the beginning of the show, running around taking 2 different kids to 2 different schools and then picking 2 different kids up from 2 different schools. I had basically no contact with the outside world today. Was very unprepared for today's show. We'll be better tomorrow. But the text line, as always, picked the show up dramatically, and we appreciate it. And we'll rely heavily on you once again here for this final segment. 502-414-1450 is the number to text in. You got about 23 minutes left to have your thoughts heard here on the radio. Texter says, if you aren't excited about Stanford and Hawaii, you're a casual. This is the weird thing, though. I would be more excited about it if it was kicking off at midnight. It looks like it's kicking off at the standard 7 o'clock. I only watch Hawaii football in the wee hours of the morning.
It's after 11:30.
Yeah, I mean, I need. Hawaii is the team for degenerates and people who are
do that.
Well, it's true, and who are just casual sleepers. Who just don't sleep very well. That's what you do. That's who you watch. When all other football is exhausted, you flip over and it's early in the second quarter of Hawaii versus whoever, and you're watching. That's how it goes. Texter says Georgia Tech beat Florida State, Georgia Tech beat Florida State, not BC. For some reason, so Georgia Tech was the one in Dublin, and then was Boston College right after that? Because I remember the BC game being a big deal.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking that maybe it's just the Irish thinking with Boston College. I think Boston College played Notre Dame in that game in Dublin maybe before. But there you go. It was Georgia Tech with the crazy upset, which now in hindsight doesn't really look crazy at all. Texas hypothetical question based on that signed jersey. If you ran into a situation where you could have a who's who signed dream jersey, like while if they were still alive getting an Ali, Crum, and Schnellenberger signed jersey, would you actively prevent a much lesser public figure from signing it and ruining it if they were all at an event together? Let's say you got all 3 of the above to sign a jersey, but the equivalent of a nearby smiling Kenny Payne is taking off the top of a Sharpie. Would you actively and violently refuse a signature? This is a great question. I mean, it's so mean. But I feel like I would have to do it. What excuse can you even make up at that point? So you've got Ali, Crum, and Howard. They all sign your U of L jersey. And then Kenny Payne's like, all right, my turn. What can you even say to lessen the blow of the message of, I'm sorry, I don't want you to sign that jersey?
I would just say no, sorry.
So you don't care about Kenny's feelings at all?
No, Mike.
I mean, in real life, I wouldn't care about Kenny. But let's say it's like a Kenny-esque figure who did far less damage, but still, like, you don't want their autograph. Like, it's a bit player. I don't even want to name a name. It's a guy who was like a decent player in the 90s, but is clearly like 75 rungs below Ali, Crum, and Howard. You respect them, but you don't want that autograph. How do you handle this? Do you still just be like, no thanks? That's what you would do.
Yeah, you throw the jersey over your shoulder like the signing's done for it.
I feel like I would make up an excuse that was very obviously untrue, but at least showcase that I was trying to make an effort to spare someone's feelings. I would say, sorry, this is for my dying grandmother, and she was very specific that all she wanted was Ali, Crum, and Schnellenberger. I'm so sorry about this. Like, I think that's what I would have to do.
I think, yeah, I'm with you.
The only time that there was a kind of a similar situation, I don't know if anybody else did this, when they were they had a big event for these. Maker's Mark would always do these bottles that were themed with big figures here locally, and they had a couple of U of L themed. They had Rick Pitino, they had Tom Jurich, and they came up with a Charlie Strong bottle. And you could buy this. My girlfriend at the time got this for me for my birthday. It was you could buy this like ticket to an event where you could get your bottle signed by Charlie Strong and Tom Jurich. And what they didn't tell you was you wait in this line, you get all the way to the front, and Jurich signs it, Charlie Strong signs it, and then like 3 of the distillers from Maker's Mark sign it. Who, I mean, one of them is the Samuels, who I'm like, okay, if you want to sign it, fine. Like the other two, I don't even know what the other 2 guys were doing. I have no idea who they were. I felt the need to be like, I'm good if you don't want to sign the bottle. It did kind of devalue it a little bit. I know it was a Maker's Mark thing, and I'm sure it was part of the territory. But I think every Louisville fan in attendance was just kind of like, I'm good with just Charlie and Tom.
Yeah.
We can just we can stop the procession at that point. I'm just going to take my bottle and go. But you can't really do that. You can't. It's mean. Texture says, how old is Trevor? I saw the Real Spiel stream on Twitter, and it caused some curiosity. I will react accordingly post-answer. I believe Trevor is 44? I was going to say 44 or 45 at this point.
He's young in the soul, Mike.
I think he's 45 now. He's young in the soul and also 85 years old in the soul. I would talk about this.
He is. That's a great way to put it.
I would talk about this all the time on the radio show. I was like, you're a combination of 2 different ages, neither of which are remotely close to your actual age. He's one half 13-year-old boy and one half 85-year-old man. And I guess if you combine those 2 together, you get this 45-year-old person with these just outrageous takes in both directions. But yeah, he's sometimes he'll say things and I'm like, damn, you're a child. And other times he'll say stuff and I'm like, damn, you're a 83-year-old grandpa. What's wrong with you?
We got a text last night into the chat or into the text line, Game Day Men's Health text line, but it was late at night. It was 1:37 a.m. Mike and Roman, Scott in St. Augustine here.
What up, Scott?
Primarily a podcast listener, playing catch-up as I've been in Louisville to be with my daughter while she delivered her first child. I have a beautiful granddaughter.
Congratulations.
I'm a first-time grandfather, and I love it. She just graduated college and is now an RN. However, she worked at Hoops on Strawberry Lane through college. I texted her a while back to say my favorite sports shows are broadcasting from Hoops. She responds, I'm waiting on them as we speak. I bet you wish you were here. Definitely did. Roman, I'm currently watching my first Real Spill podcast recorded August 11th. Trevor has me bellied over laughing, lighting up smokes, letting the F word fly, and there's no telling what cocktail is in that cup. Trevor is wrong, though. Happy Gilmore 2 was hilarious, beautifully scripted. Enjoy Will's commentary. Great show, Roman. Congratulations. Love the Rutherford show. Thanks, guys, for the insight and entertainment. Go Cards.
Great text.
This is a great text. Shout out to Grandpa Scott down there in St. Augustine.
That's the full Trevor Kelsey experience. Like, he's smoking. He's making me laugh. I don't know what the hell is going on with this person.
A random sports fact is about to be dropped.
And also, he's horrifically wrong. Like, that's the full experience. That's like, this guy's hilarious. What's going on with him? And then it's, he's horribly wrong about whatever he's saying.
Not always. Not football. Basketball.
Sometimes. I mean, every now and then. But then he will stun you.
Yeah,
with just like a well-reasoned, well-thought-out, spot-on, perfect take, and you're like, okay.
About like a middle-of-the-pack team from last year because of a 4-game stretch they had that he just remembers for some reason. It's amazing to watch sometimes. I also think that the YouTube platform's kind of perfect. It doesn't have to hold back anything. So we love it. We'll be back again this Sunday or Monday.
Perfect. Let me know. You guys need to give me a heads up.
We want to get you on the show.
I'll come on the show.
We're going to probably wait till we were going to extend that offer after get to actually talk about a game that's been played.
But I mean, just let me know so I can at least just
we'll
hype up the pod.
Yeah, let you get the early retweet.
Get a little retweet in. Texas says PRTG again. I forgot this question earlier, but your concept of requiring to say all bad jokes had me thinking, wouldn't belly flipping into the kiddie pool be doing a bad joke regardless of reaction? Hoisted by your own petard once again. That's a great text, actually. That's more of a physical comedy. We're talking spoken word. We're talking Scoot's joke of the day type jokes. If it's physical comedy, I'd be like, and you had to do it, I'd be like, slapping people in the face all the time.
Throw that ball at him.
Yeah, exactly. How funny would it be if I just pushed this guy into the river? It's just like,
You'll spill your spaghetti on the basketball court over there.
I mean, it'd be funny, but I'm not going to do it. Boxcar Bob said, has Little Dumper told us what the collusion was in his fantasy league? Maybe that would help us find a suitable punishment. I think this is a good point.
Yeah, you haven't said.
We've gotten very little details. I assume it's a league of like all the boys, all the fellas, all the BFFs. And all we know is that there was collusion amongst 2 of the members.
How do you collude? How do you collude?
That's what I need to know. Texas said, I got my girlfriend into Louisville sports through Chucky and Tyler Shuck. Who should I use this year to keep her? I don't like your laughter there.
Chucky and Tyler Shuck.
I mean, Michael Brown. I feel like it's an obvious one.
Michael, yeah.
He's going to be exciting. He's going to be a future NBA guy. The good thing about
Isaac McNeely, too, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, are you just talking about looks-wise?
Well, I mean,
yeah.
She liked Tyler Shuck.
He's a good-looking guy. She liked Chucky, too. I think Michael's a good pick because there's staying power in this. If she falls in love with Michael Brown, she'll be able to watch him play in the NBA for years. That's a big deal. With Chucky, who we all love, it's going to be tougher to follow his professional career a little bit if you're here stateside. With football, I mean, Isaac Brown is obvious. Just watch this dude do unspeakably cool things on the football field. He's a home run threat every time he touches the ball. Those are the 2 guys that I would pick. Michael Brown, Isaac Brown. Make it happen. Scoot Hater said, I think that if Vaughn plays significant minutes at the 4, then something has gone wrong. If the game plays out where he has a significant advantage at the 4, or we are playing a small ball lineup, that's different.
Kind of with you there.
Here's the only problem, though, is if he's not playing the 4, if you've got him at the 3, that means you're only playing 2 guards out of 5 guards that we expect to all be pretty successful and integral to this team's success. Are you willing to sacrifice minutes for McNeely, Woolley, or Conwell?
If Frew and is what he is, especially with the ability to hit that jumper like that off the catch, and if Kason Pryor gets fully back, Mike, at least for the starts of games, yes. Or maybe even the end of games. I think the defensive versatility that you get with Javon at the 3 is extremely helpful at this point in college basketball with how much happens out on the perimeter nowadays.
I just think that this team, I think
McNeely, that
Kelsey's
third guard,
going to want to have 3 elite shooters on the court at the same time as often as he possibly can.
That's what I'm saying. I think that third guard plays more minutes than Javon Hadley per game.
If you play Vaughn at the 3, though, you're taking one of those shooters off the floor every second that he's there. Because, and I'm assuming that it's like Vaughn at the 3, Kanai or Kason at the 4, Frew or Khalifa at the 5. And that's just not nearly as lethal an offensive lineup as one that's got Michael
Conwell and McNeely,
or Woolley in there, or even Kobe Rogers in there in some way, shape, or form. It's a conundrum for Pat. This is one of those things that you're going to have to figure out. And it's weird because he's the most experienced guy on this team when it comes to production at Louisville. And I feel like we're still going to have to figure out how best to utilize him as the season goes on. Just because this year's roster is so different than he was forced to be our 4 last year. We had no other choice. Once Kaysen and Corn got hurt, he was our best option there. We had to play him, and I think it was playing him out of his natural position. But this year, like, playing him at his natural position could be disadvantageous to what we're trying to do offensively. Texture says, okay, the KFC Murder Chicks is nothing like I was expecting. I'm telling you. This is my new favorite local band. Texture, that sounded like the Bandit speech from The Goods. Is that a Bluey reference? I don't know. Texture says, so no Pick'em League, sad face. We'll figure out something to do, Dave. We'll figure something out. STL Cody guy said, I met your wife Saturday at Target and instantly felt kind of weird, like I was a creep. Also, let me save you from the noise pollution. That is KFC Murder Chicks. My God, that was awful. We talked about this, STL Cody. My wife said you were very nice. She enjoyed talking to both you and your wife. I'm disappointed.
You're a creep if you had your wife with.
No, you're fine. I'm disappointed to hear that KFC Murder Chicks. I'm going to judge for myself. I'm not going in with any preconceived expectations or notions. Texture says, how much better or worse do you think you would do on the ACT if you took it now? I undoubtedly would do worse.
Oh, it'd be pretty bad.
I would do way worse.
I think my ADHD is worse.
Yeah, I can't focus enough to do a test anymore. I've gotten progressively more dumb as time has gone on. There's no doubt in my mind.
The ones that are trying to trick you, I would spend 15 minutes on those.
Also, the little skills that you pick up, and like when you're in the height of your education, that you don't use at any other point in your life, like those are all gone. I don't even remember what they were. I would not test as well anymore. Also, as Frank said, I need to just DM. I'm going to start harassing Frank because he's not gotten back to me. We need him on the show before football starts. Texas, who do you think is coaching at U of L longer, Brom or Kelsey? Man, this is a really good question.
I'm going to say Coach Kelsey, Mike, and here's why.
Okay.
I think if Jeff Brom continues on the rate that he's been on, and I hate to say it like this, somebody who can pay him more money is going to come calling.
You think so?
I do.
Like it's a small amount of teams out there.
I get it.
Very few programs.
There's also going to be those programs that are going to be 3 or 4 years. Like, why do we keep making the college football playoff but not winning a game? Who's a coach that hasn't had the team to be where we're at but would win if he got here? I feel like a lot of schools in 3 or 4 years' time, if Brom keeps on being a 9-10 win team that's flirting with the playoff, making it a year or so, every other year or so in a 4 or 5 year span, I feel like big schools will come calling.
I feel like if he got to a point where he felt like he did at Purdue, that he had accomplished all that he could accomplish here, then maybe he would entertain those types of deals. Until he gets to that point, which I think would take a long time, the only school that I would be fearful of him leaving for is Notre Dame. I think the bigger question for us, if we get in the situation where the football program is wildly successful, is him going to the NFL.
Yeah, that's what producer Keith just texted me.
I think that is more of a concern than him leaving for a different program. I'm actually going to say Pat Kelsey too, and I feel like that's sort of I feel like that would be the underdog if you were putting the odds on it. I'm going to say Pat Kelsey.
Yeah, I feel like if Pat Kelsey can go, you can go make Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, another Sweet 16. Maybe not this, round of 32, back to the Elite 8. And unless no school that's achieved more than you have in the time you're at U of L is going to come call for you. So I think it'd be a lot less teams calling for Pat Kelsey, even if he does see success without it being a championship.
Texas says, Mike, could non-revenue sports go outside the university for financial assistance, such as direct investments from private equity, et cetera? Yes, it can. Texture says, hey, Mike, Crib Guy here. What's up, Crib Guy? Did you see the UK fan that vowed to cut off their pinky toe if we win the ACC? Just feels like something that we should collectively keep an eye on. Here's a link to the tweet. This is it's a basketball. I was thinking this would be football. So at banteredb_, if Louisville wins the ACC, he quote tweeted the Terrence Oglesby ranking that we referenced earlier, and said if Louisville wins the ACC, I'll cut off my pinky toe.
That's so... I don't understand that.
The tweet currently has more bookmarks than likes, retweets, or responses.
We just played in the ACC championship game, and our roster is significantly better top to bottom.
Here's the thing. He's going to try to justify it if like we win the regular season but don't win the tournament, he'll say, I meant the tournament. If we win the tournament but don't win the regular season, he's going to say, well, I meant the regular season. We're going to have to win both for this guy to lose his pinky. And even then, it ain't happening. He's not going to do it. But I'll be all over this guy. You got to make good on that if you put that out there. What a weird thing to risk your pinky toe for, too. Texter says, can you fill me in? That song bangs. Told you. Texter says, Mike, don't lie to Roman. Craig David was not big with white people. He was big with white women. I tolerated his noise for a girlfriend. I love that came right after a texter by presumably a white man who was like, can you fill me in? Texter says, I'm ready to put a rack on Stanford against Hawaii. Going to try and double it down for 10 straight weeks. Let's go. It's go time. Texter says, BC was the game where the FSU fans said they would eat poop. And then the guy just deleted his account. Who is the one person said he would shove something up his butt?
And he did it.
And he did it.
What was it?
It was
sandwich?
It was like a quarter pounder. It was like a McDonald's Big Mac. We act like that was something to be celebrated. I'm not sure that it was. Texas, Kentucky football should change their name to Galen College. I see what you did there. Also, I see why the big dog left Kentucky. They're playing Ring Around the Rosies. Texas, hey Mike, that was me that signed your Maker's Mark bottle. Oh God, it's one of the distillers. Texas said, T.J. Walker says, Trevor Scott. He's the part 13-year-old boy, 85-year-old man, also the lungs of a 162-year-old. Texas, my favorite Trevor memory was him crapping his pants on the side of Gene Snyder, also misses NBA takes. I mean, Trevor also he's perfect for radio because he's shameless. He's shameless. He doesn't care. Like, he crapped his pants and threw up on the side of the Gene Snyder and then told the story on the radio the next day. Doesn't care at all.
It's funny you warned me, prefaced me about his NBA takes, and I still allow myself to get worked up.
They're so bad. Texas, obviously, Roman isn't old enough to know who Mark Maron is, but have you watched his HBO special yet? No, but I've heard a whole lot about it. I like Mark Maron. Texas, damn, y'all think McNeely is a good-looking dude, LOL. I always thought he looked like a Neanderthal with that forehead jutting out over his face. I think he's a good-looking guy. I think Ryan Campbell's a good-looking guy.
Some of the images of McNeely, I keep going back and forth. I'm like, gosh, he looks like a handsome, well-put-together man, and then exactly like the texter just described, he'll get caught at certain angles, or I think maybe it's like his picture day smile is not, you can kind of tell it's a bit artificial, and it kind of makes him look interesting.
All right, Little Dumper's got the update on the collusion that happened. It's his law school league, and two members, one of which was eliminated from playoff contention, decided to combine teams in the middle of the night, and some people didn't veto. You can't do that. You can't just give your players once you're out of contention to another team. We lock moves at a certain point. They've got to be approved. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Texas Hadley isn't good enough to be on the team, according to Mike. How did you get that out of what I was?
You hate Hadley, Mike.
I love Javon Hadley.
You think he's the worst three-point shooter on the team?
He's probably my favorite player on the team. He's not, but he's not.
Vaughn can't shoot if you let Mike
He's not
tell
as good of a three-point shooter as the three guys mentioned. That's all I'll say. Texas says, how many points worse would you do on the ACT? I'd say 5 to 6 points worse, but honestly, who knows? I feel like I'd probably be somewhere in that range.
I think I could still get a 20, maybe.
Oh, I feel confident that I would get at least a 20, but I would do 5 or 6 points worse than I did in high school.
Well, that'd be 20.
Texas, if I ever recognized Mrs. CC out anywhere in public, I wouldn't come near her. That's very stalkerish. You wouldn't be the first. There was a guy who took a picture with my mom at Kroger and sent it to me. I thought it was awesome. She was very proud.
If I saw Glenn, I'd ask for a picture.
Glenn, I don't know if anybody's ever taken a picture with my dad. He's not out and about all that much anymore. Texas, Kelsey will stay longer because he's 5 or so years younger. Both will retire here. I hope you're right.
I hope so, too.
That would be fantastic. Texas says the Twitter account was St. Bill Snyder, and he shoved a beefy 5-layer burrito up his butt.
Taco Bell, that's what it was.
That's exactly what it was. Good Lord. What a world. I love that you remembered that. I love that you remembered the count. St. Bill Snyder. If you're going to make those types of deals, which I don't know why anybody would, you got nothing to gain and everything to lose.
Yeah, make it a social media deal.
But you've got to at least make good on the promise. Like the guy who deleted his account, he doomed Florida State to a terrible season. They were only 0-2 at that point. They could have salvaged things. him doing that, him tucking tail and running away from it, guaranteed the 2-10 season.
What was his what was the deal?
He was going to eat dog crap.
No, the beefy 5-layer though.
Oh, I don't even remember what team it was. It was Kansas State beating somebody that was it was not worth risking at all. They weren't even a heavy favorite, but he did it. He did it. What do we have going on tonight on sports? That's not good. That's not good. There's nothing going on tonight. Okay, how about this? We've got Little League Baseball World Series, Roman. Richmond, Texas versus Fairfield, Connecticut. Live from Williamsport, PA. ESPN 7 o'clock tonight. Who takes it home?
You know what Texas is going to do.
It's going to be the Texas
boys.
team. The 16-year-old Texas kids that made it out of Richmond.
That are bigger than us.
They're going to win this. All right, we got Big X, Big Bets coming your way on Roman's Recap, which is up next. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 2:30. Talk to you then. Go Cards.
Go Cards.
And industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration needs. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133. Go Cards.
This world that we're living in may seem chaotic at times. It's good to have a team like ours that has never strayed away from its core values: God, family, and serving others. It's been this way since the beginning. I'm Lee Downing with AirServe.
Just the Cats with Michael Bennett.
AP preseason came out yesterday. Clemson at number 4. There's another article out there that was ranking the most overrated and underrated. They have Clemson as the most underrated school in the preseason poll. Why do you think the media has to put in ACC schools when it's not deserving?
Weekday mornings at 8, followed by Spears on Sports at 10 on the Big X Sports Radio.
Southern Indiana, you've seen prices rise from the dinner table to the pump. Hello, I'm your local Allstate agent, Stephen Beatty, and I can save you money on your insurance. From starting a new policy to bundling coverage, or even by driving safely, I know ways to maximize your savings. Contact me, Stephen Beatty, today to